Think. Well, that's what I did. So, no, I did.
Okay.
What'd you roll, crime?
I did. And we're recording now.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. You should pull that way closer to your face.
What is that thing?
Oh, this is like a little... Oh, this is my new toy. Of the sexual nature. No, it's not.
Oh, damn. That
no.
looks crazy. It looks like a Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, you put your dildo right here, and then you... just kidding. No, it's to put like, it's like a little steady cam thing. It's like for a camera. Toy for a camera.
Oh, cool.
It's got lots. I got all the gadgets.
You do.
All the gadgets.
And the gizmos.
And the gizmos. Okay. Well, hello, Brianna.
Hi, Shay. Good afternoon today.
It is an afternoon, but at least it's not an evening because we all know what happens when we record in the evening time.
We just fall asleep.
We just fall right to sleep, and we snap at each other and go like, hey, are you still there?
Are you listening to me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's 2
today.
in the afternoon.
It is. And
Which
we're
I was
drinking,
right on
so we're
time.
doing it right. Yeah, you were.
I was right on time, 2 hours late.
Yeah, that was
Perfect.
about right. It's all fine.
Yeah, and we're drinking just a hard seltzer today, guys. But it's
Shay
not
and
a White
Brianna
Claw.
we're a little high class. It's called a highball, TM. And that's what I'm just reading it verbatim. I'm not asking
All
to
rights reserved.
hold the rights.
TM.
And it's very it's actually perfect for the story that I'll be telling today.
Oh, it's a blackberry lime hard
now
seltzer.
Now that I kind of say it that way,
it's
kind of in bad taste, but it's fine. What did you roll?
Gross, Shay. I can't wait to hear what you're about to talk about.
Yeah, well, it's crime, so you know it's going to be just really depressing and sad.
And blackberry limey?
Well, it's
hard
not completely
seltzer?
literal. I mean,
okay.
Oh, I wanted to tell you that my Aunt Trisha from Texas is making root vegetables tonight because of you.
Really?
Yeah, she wanted me to tell you that.
I inspired her.
You did.
Oh, good. Is she just roasting them up?
What did she say? I'll tell you exactly what she said. Hold, please.
And then I'll tell you what I did for my little dinner.
Oh, yes, you
over
have
the
to.
week.
So, she's having roast turnips tonight.
Fuck yes.
Yes.
Those are yummy.
Yes, so she said, because of Brianna, I'm having those.
Good.
So
You can also use the turnip greens if you want. You can saute them up.
it's very bubbly, that seltzer.
That is a very bubbly seltzer.
It's been a minute since we've recorded, so you know.
I'm not used to
Jesus
this.
Christ. It makes me
Yeah,
sound like
and the last time we
pump booze
recorded
down you. I gotta go to
pump it
Shay's
in.
house at 2 p.m. unemployed and
Shay found a meme today that literally
describes
spoke to our day.
It speaks to every single podcast that we do.
But fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say.
It was. We probably should tell them what it was. They're like, okay, what was the damn meme?
Oh, it was Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
Like, he was pouring what was he saying?
it was like when it's like at noon, like before noon, and you're hanging out with your bestie, and you're in your 30s, and you're unemployed, and that's exactly what we do, pretty much.
We're employed just differently than we have ever been in our whole lives.
It's all how you think about it.
It's exactly.
Anyway,
It's a different type of employment.
it's true. But anyway, so
to ourselves.
my weekend was pretty boring, my week and a half. It's been like a week and a half since 2 weeks since we've recorded. I have not really done a whole lot. I'm starting to get a little bit of work, which is awesome. I can not have to eat ramen, I have not stooped to that level yet, but I'm getting pretty close.
That's good. That's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
I just made some rice and eggs and kale that was in my fridge for a while today, and it was delicious.
Sounds like that's almost a really amazing
And I put
Chinese
miso
food.
on it.
Yeah, there you be.
Because I had that. That's what was in my fridge today, and I was like, well, that's going to be delicious.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't have gotten past the brown rice part. I'm like, well, I guess I'm just eating this brown rice out of a can. I don't know why it's in a can.
It is.
I had to put it in there for my
always.
hobo effect, but it's fine. Anyway,
Do people make canned rice that's like already cooked?
maybe in Russia. I don't know. That's a horrible thing. I apologize. I don't have any disparaging the whole entire country of Russia.
What if Anna listens to this?
Who's Anna?
remember my Russian foreign exchange? She wasn't a foreign exchange student.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Delete that, please. She was not a foreign exchange student at all.
What is that? That's not
she is from Russia.
That is no better.
She was my intern, and then she worked there because she was so. But that is cool.
No better than what I just. That's way less worse than what I. Way less worse. Mitch, are you hearing this? Because I can't speak good. Oh, that's what I've been doing because I reminded myself of Mitch. I've been watching a stupid amount of Hell's Kitchen over again. I've watched the series like multiple times, but censored. It's like a whole new world.
Oh my God.
Because listening to
uncensored
cunt roll off Gordon Ramsay's tongue as many times as it does, and I mean, it really is true. I remember Mitch saying like, you can't say that. Like, I can't believe the things that they were saying back in Hell's Kitchen, like in 2011 or whenever it was filmed. Mm-hmm. Like, he calls like women fat cows all the time, and I'm like, holy shit. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. So
no.
Anyway,
but times have changed.
It's definitely just me sitting in my going, I can't. This is horrible. But oh my God, what's next? And I've watched the whole damn series.
So it's the same series. It's just not bleeped out.
Correct. So him just that's
letting
fucking,
it
that's
fly.
fucking delicious. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But anyway, so that's what I've been doing. Sorry to interrupt. But
that is, I've never watched Hell's Kitchen, which is probably really weird.
It's because you've watched MasterChef, right?
I've never watched MasterChef. I've watched Top Chef, but I've never watched MasterChef.
Oh, okay. Well, then really you don't have anything to compare it to. I was gonna say if you've watched MasterChef, it's nothing like MasterChef. It's way more like drop your brow like 6 degrees, and then you got Hell's Kitchen because it's like just really good trash TV, but with food, and you just
do they make good shit?
I mean, they make good shit. It's like a.
Does he make them make good shit?
Yeah, of course.
Isn't it like he goes?
Do you watch do you know the concept of it?
I guess no.
Like, so this one.
It's either two things in my mind, but I don't know.
Okay, so what are your two things?
Either he goes into kitchens. No, he brings people in.
He does have a series like that, but that's not this one.
So Hell's Kitchen is when he brings like chefs in that are kind of. Are they shitty though, or they look?
No,
just,
they're
like,
not shitty. It's not like
fine, but they just like are needing some.
No, so these guys are like
extra help.
They kind of are a broad range. Like usually they're like executive chefs, or they have a catering company, or they're a private chef or something like that. They have an experience or like a background in cooking and like a resume, and they're all competing for like a place as head chef in one of his many restaurants. So actually one of the guys, the very first season, a guy out of Fort Collins actually won it.
Oh.
But it's so funny because when you go like, where are these chefs now? Like only maybe a handful of them still work for him.
That's kind of a weird way to find a head chef.
It's entertainment, and that's why
it is entertainment for sure. But it's like,
and it's interesting because some of them said like, because she couldn't take the position or she couldn't move. Like, then what the fuck? I don't understand why they were on it. Maybe it was again just to be on TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the whole point of it is not that he has to create somebody that doesn't know how to cook. It's just people that know how to cook, and some of them you're like, how the fuck did you even get on this show? Because they're like, there's one girl that was like, I thought that cold water would boil faster, and he's like, and he's just like looking at her like going, what?
You stupid cunt.
It's pretty much like anyway, so
speaking of British accents, I was in the airport yesterday because I flew back from Washington D.C. And there was a little girl. This has nothing to do with food or Gordon Ramsay.
Whatever.
It has to do with British accents.
It's fine.
There was a little girl sitting next to me when I was putting my shoes back on after security, and this family was from England,
right?
And oh my God, the little girl, she was probably like 3 or 4. Has the cutest like British accent voice I've ever heard in my whole life. And she looked at her mom and she was like, Mother, can I have a satsuma now? And I almost cried. A satsuma is a type of orange. At least that's what I'm assuming. She wanted like a little cutie orange.
I've never heard.
And she called it a satsuma because that's technically what they're fucking called, because she knows what's up.
Because she's fucking British and she's proper as fuck.
And Mother, or it was like Mum, like it was just so British and like the cutest, most adorable thing I've ever heard. And then hearing them talk back and forth to each other was like warming my whole heart.
I'm like, are we in an episode of Harry Potter right now?
It was
holy shit.
Mother, can I have a satsuma?
Oh my word.
I died. I was like, I just want British children.
No, how do I make that happen?
How
I just
do I
have
do
them
that?
and I send them off to boarding school and it's fine.
I
And maybe some of them just create fake accents and that's okay too. I don't care as long as they entertain me.
It's fine. Yeah, I was in Virginia last week.
Yeah, that's
so that's
exciting
why
for-
we are
for-
not
We skipped a
launching an
week
episode.
for Maddie's
But yeah,
wedding.
I was there for a friend's wedding. We got me and Chris, my boyfriend, got to cook for them for their wedding. And then we also, we got to take over. Maddie is a sous chef in a restaurant called Bloom in Roanoke, Virginia. Look it up. They're dope.
That's a spooky
Follow them
sentence.
on Instagram. They're sweet. And we got to take over the kitchen one day when they were closed and like prep some stuff. And it was like a beautiful, immaculate kitchen
looked
with
amazing.
beautiful equipment. And so that was really fun. And we made beet fettuccine. So it was like super
looked
dark
so
red. I
pretty.
was like convinced it was going to definitely fade a little bit in color, but it never
didn't?
did. I was like, yes. Good to know about drying beet pasta. It doesn't fade. The color doesn't fade at all. It was
That's-
like still a bright
sounds
fuchsia when
beautiful.
we cooked it. It was awesome.
It's like my favorite when we made like beet ice cream.
Oh,
at
yeah.
Vino. It was just so.
Beets are just the shit.
It was actually really good ice cream, but it was so pretty.
Yeah.
Ugh, that
And
color.
one of my favorite things is when food looks like paint.
Yes, and
I
that's
love
exactly what it looked like.
I love it.
But when I saw your little Instagram with the beet pasta, when I think Maddie or somebody was moving the rack, and I was like, holy fuck, it's too pretty to eat.
And we made literally the perfect exact amount. We like
Which
so
is
we
always
had
nice.
it literally, you know, those clothing racks that are like wooden, and
Yeah.
we literally used one of those to dry all the pasta.
That's so cool.
Every last noodle fit exactly perfectly on that rack, and that was
Destiny.
like literally the perfect amount of food for the like 32 people that we cooked for.
That's a perfect amount of people too.
Yep. And so yeah, we got to rent. They rented a cabin for the weekend, and it was just like 30 of her closest friends and family that were at the cabin, and we all just like partied for 4 days. On Friday before the wedding. The wedding was Saturday. Friday we went out to like a bunch of breweries in Harrisburg, Virginia.
Sounds so colonial.
We were in Roanoke first, which was sweet. I didn't research Roanoke though.
I'm
That
really
was-
upset you didn't.
But we didn't get to do anything
We'll
really
have to go
touristy. Yeah, we'll have to go back.
Although I don't
We
know.
didn't find the lost colony of Roanoke.
That's like that's like going to fucking Gettysburg though. Like that's some hollow fucking ground. I don't know if I would be okay with it.
Yeah.
Especially
There
you were
was-
saying it was kind of eerie.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
some eerie feelings around that place, that's for sure. And it was just like rich and like, I don't know, like all the
Vibrant.
buildings were super old, and a lot of them, and I just love the East Coast because there's like
It's
old
history,
stone
yeah.
walls
I
everywhere.
know we're a
and,
pretty
like,
young
along the
country in the
road, and
grand scheme of things, but like
We
that's why I
fucking
like
are.
that's why I like the East Coast because it has the most history because obviously.
It was built
mean,
back in the
obviously.
1700s, 1800s. Not like Denver.
Nope. Sure not.
But yeah, so that was cool. And then, yeah, we went around to a couple of cool different breweries in Harrisburg,
Whichever.
burg it was.
Something. It was a burg.
And then,
That
yeah,
is
then
Williamsburg, Gettysburg. Anyway, sorry.
all the burgs.
I just have never
There's
thought about that before.
So many burgs.
I have to look that up later. Anyway.
And then for the actual dinner on Saturday, we made the beet fettuccine pasta. So for appetizers, we did oysters with just like lemon and horseradish.
I would have passed on
And
that
then
one, but good on you.
a giant charcuterie like spread with a bunch of cheese
Speaking my
and olives,
language
all that
there,
stuff.
girl.
And then for dinner we did beet fettuccine. I roasted a bunch of like root vegetables that Maddie had got from a local farm.
Oh, hell
which
yes.
they have so many local farms, and also their fall right now is actually fall. It's not like blizzarding there.
I know, it's stupid. At least you missed it.
Yeah,
It was dumb. It was cold.
It is crazy here right now, y'all. Fucking blizzarding.
I liked it. It was like a gale.
So yeah, we made roasted vegetables from farms around Roanoke, and we made a butternut squash cream sauce. And
Dude, I want to eat all of that
I made a
right now.
roasted carrot vinaigrette to like put on all the roasted veggies, and that was really good. And then we mixed it with like a bunch of arugula from a farm and spinach, and then that was with the pasta. And then we also seared 8 pounds of scallops for everyone.
Jesus Christ.
And that was the dinner. And then we just made pies for dessert, and it was wonderful.
Just, whatever. Did you make those from scratch as well?
We did.
Of course you did.
Dana DeMarco
Oh yeah.
made the pie
I forgot you had
doughs.
your little Dana there.
So it was fun because my friend Maddie, who we were cooking for, I used to work with her at we used to work with her at Cafe Vino.
I worked with
You
her
worked
a
with her for a
minute
second.
because I was
She was
replacing.
pastry.
Well, Stephanie was replacing her, but like I was
Yeah.
replacing that position. Yeah.
So and then Dana, who was also there, she was the head chef of Cafe Vino when I started there and when Maddie started there. And so like being in the kitchen together again was like, that was such a special time in our lives. So it was a really special time to be together.
Miss Mackenzie.
And we did miss her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good little weekend. And then Chris has a friend in Washington, D.C., like right outside, and we ended up being able to stay with him one night, and we went out to this incredible Italian restaurant. They have so much good food in Washington, D.C. It's insane.
I've heard that about them.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I've heard about their museums, obviously, but...
Oh, I'll tell you about those later.
Yes, okay.
But yeah, we got to go out to dinner with them, and then the next day, me and Chris which was literally yesterday, did a giant fucking speed walk around all the monuments, which are literally all in the same place, which I'm going to talk about today because that's what I'm doing for history.
Fuck yeah,
is
girl.
The history of the National Mall.
Well, that, I think, was a great segue.
Yeah, so should we get right in?
I think we should.
Bye-bye.
We're back.
We're back and ready. We're gonna get to it. We're back.
There it is. I was waiting for the transition.
Relax. We're back. The dinosaur story. Do you remember
Oh,
that
I remember
movie?
that one.
That was like my favorite movie to rent.
That's
at
because it was-
Blockbuster. Always.
That was a good one. That was like Steven Spielberg at its heyday. It was kind of fucked up and scary because like the little, what was his name? What was the brother? It was two brothers. And the mean brother that had like the evil nightmare circus. I was like, no, that seriously is like,
That was creepy as
it
fuck.
was like the Insane Clown Posse took all their inspiration from that because holy shit, that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of that. It reminds me of
was
Slipknot. It reminds me.
That's so funny.
Oh god, I still get
They're like,
chills
let's make
from
a
it.
band off of this.
That's true, but like, come on, John Goodman is a big old T-Rex, and
I want to watch that. I need to watch.
do.
I need to just start watching my favorite movies with my nephew so I can relive those.
And those were really good.
times.
It's like Troll in Central Park. That was a really good one because they were tall. They weren't obnoxious. All Dogs Go to Heaven. Oh, sorry. Fuck.
They do.
I'm so sorry, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like they were really good films that had bigger.
fucking loved that
Even
movie.
Land Before Time. Mm-hmm. And then you could watch We're Back.
We're back is so good.
Stomp your claws and tap your feet. So you're doing history.
I guess
I'm
I'm
sorry.
up.
It's been like 2 weeks since we've recorded, so I'm sorry
know,
if
I
we're
don't
extra bantery. My bad.
Yeah, I don't know how this works anymore. Am I first?
Do I shut the fuck up? Shut your
Wait,
mouth
do I
right
go
now.
first?
Wait, do I go first? Do I just speak into this microphone?
I'm first, guys.
Yeah.
And today, yes, I rolled history, and we're talking about the National Mall. No, I'm not talking about the Mall of America in Minnesota, motherfuckers. I'm talking about the National Mall in Washington, D.C. You don't shop for clothes there.
Just for facts.
Just for facts and history. I literally didn't know anything about it till literally 3 days ago.
Really? You didn't know about the National Mall?
I didn't know it was called that.
Oh, okay.
I
That's
knew that like the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument were like in the same area, but I had no idea it was like also
I'm
this
laughing
is
not
really
at you.
embarrassing.
I just was laughing because I was looking at your Instagram the other day and it was like the pencil. Like
Yeah.
you were like the capital, I thought you were like gonna be all serious and like the pencil.
I know
That's pretty.
I had
anyway,
to joke it. I
sorry.
had to joke it up.
I love
you
it.
know?
Anyway, go on.
I also pretty sure for my whole life have thought the Capitol and the White House were the same thing. So that's okay.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm
you know.
pretty dumb.
No, you're not. You just
When I saw the White House, so let me tell you about when I first saw the White House. So we went into Washington, D.C. for dinner, and then me and Chris went the next day to actually, like, explore the monuments and things. But, like, we drove past the White House. I think we drove past, like, the back of the White House or something. And our friends were like, oh, that's the White House. And I looked at it and I was like, that's it? Like, I was like, what? It's so small. Like, it was way smaller than it's huge.
Can I ask you this?
But I was like, wait, what?
Can I ask you though, like when you like have seen, like I'm sure you've watched, like seen news bulletins, and like you've seen the White House on there. What did you think it was? Like you're like, why
Like,
are we
I
looking at this
know,
house?
well, I know, like,
Like maybe,
I
was
knew
it,
the
was
White
it
House
not even like
is different,
registering?
but I didn't realize there was like a Capitol building as
Oh,
well.
okay. I understand what you're saying now. Got
Or
it.
like I never connected. I don't know.
I get it. I get it now.
I
Totally right
didn't
there.
pay attention in history
Or
class
you just
ever.
didn't register it.
and
like
I just
so.
didn't register it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, Bree's dumb.
You're not dumb. Stop it.
I'm just
You're just
naive,
ignorant. I'm just
ignorant,
kidding.
ignorant. But now I'm not ignorant because
It's okay.
now I know.
am ignorant on a lot of fucking things that you're very, very
and
wise
you're not ignorant until you learn or know about it. So now I know. So I'm not ignorant. What?
What?
I don't know.
That was
Okay.
amazing. I love it.
Good.
That's what this podcast is about. It's
So-
about learning and making our
Yes.
ignorance bliss. No,
To
wait.
learn that the White House isn't the capital of the United States.
And other fun
building-
facts. Or how I didn't know what work release meant because I'm an idiot. I still get shit about that
Okay,
from
I
my
only
cousin.
knew what it was when I went.
No, but I mean, the fact that I actually thought, like, well, that's weird, but okay, that's nice that they just let you. I don't understand. I don't even remember
You're
what
like
I.
on house arrest.
Yeah, I
then
can't
you're
remember what I.
released for
I
work?
can't even remember what I thought that what work release was. I just assumed, like, oh, you just go to your house or something like that, and you just have to have a curfew because I'm a fucking idiot, but it's fine.
No, you have to go in.
I didn't know you were going back to jail.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry guys, it's super ranty.
It's fine. So I learned that. But yeah, I was really surprised at the White House size. But then when I saw the front of it, I was like, oh, okay, that's the fucking White House. I know. But I think we saw the back, so I was like, that's it. And it's also there's a bunch of trees around it, so
That
you
makes
can't
more sense.
sniper anyone, you know.
I mean, no comment.
Also, like I just felt like I was being listened and watched at every second in DC.
That's fair.
Little secret spies everywhere.
It's happening all over the place.
But yeah, that was fun. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about the history of the National Mall and just like what it consists of because I literally didn't know it. And I figured like some
That's
people,
awesome.
like I know a lot of people didn't realize that it consisted of all the things that it does. So
Perfect.
that's what I'm
I'm
gonna
probably gonna learn some shit today.
hell yeah. So approximately 25 million tourists walk along the National Mall in Washington, D.C. every year, which is like
Damn, that's crazy.
it was fucking crap. There were so many field trips everywhere, like at every museum. So like the National Mall is like, it's the Capitol building and then the Washington Monument and then Lincoln Memorial. And it's like, that's all in like a big straight line. There's like the big grassy area, which I'll talk about. But, and then like the big, like water area between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Memorial where a bunch of crazy speeches have happened. Like obviously Martin Luther King.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
You know,
That-
real ones.
You know, the Forrest Gump, the scene in Forrest Gump, that's the National Mall.
Yes.
But yeah, and then it's also just like sprinkled with like this all the Smithsonian museums, which I didn't realize there was more than like the Smithsonian like Natural History Museum.
Right, which I didn't-
thought was the Smithsonian. I
Right.
didn't realize it was like a group of museums.
Which I didn't know that either. When I first went there, I was like, it's like fucking 95 museums. How the fuck do you get through it? Like I didn't know that either.
yeah.
Did you see Dorothy's slippers?
No.
Oh, I did, girl.
Where's that?
I think it's in one of like the movie
Is it
sections
in
of
the American History
it
Museum?
might be in that one.
Because I really wanted to
there's-
go in that one. I didn't get
There, because
to.
there's one museum in the Smithsonian that it's like it's all movies and shit, and her and actually Judy Garland's.
I think that's the American History.
and it
'cause
was they're so sparkly. And pretty.
There's a lot of like pop culture stuff in there, which I
Yeah.
really wish we had time to go to.
Probably
but,
has
like,
some
I just
Michael
need to go
Jackson
back.
shit in there.
Yeah, they had like an advertisement for it, and there's like a new exhibit they have, but it's like all the like American toys. So
That's
like the Game
cool.
Boy was like on the picture, and I was like, damn it, that would have been so fun to go see.
That's crazy. We'll just have to go back.
Exactly for our field trip.
It's fine. And I just need a data pilot so we can go there for $5.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine.
Excuse me, can you fly us out,
Please?
sir?
Like we've been on one date. Like shh, it's fine.
It's fine. What do people advertise that on Tinder? I'm a pilot. Oh, perfect match.
Perfect. I gotta go to Hawaii.
I'm gonna swipe right on you.
Right? I have to just fake that shit for a couple weeks, and that's a free flight to Hawaii.
So are we going to Hawaii for our first date?
That's
Sweet.
great. Just fly me there.
Okay, so in the 17th and 18th centuries, the word mall referred to a place where people would gather and play Pall Mall, which was like a croquet-like game. Mm-hmm. So it was like basically just like a big grassy area where people would, it's like a park kind of thing. Like that's what a mall was called. And it was like for like social gatherings, and that the term gradually transformed to mean any grassy area where people could gather to socialize and entertain. So that's why the original person that designed the mall, which I'll talk about, I'm not going to fucking say his name right. It's French and it's going to be bad. But that was his original, like, concept for this area of Washington, D.C. So let's talk about how the fuck this all started.
So the French influences, like, are kind of rampant, not rapid. Rampant in like the Statue of Liberty and
a lot of the buildings in Washington D.C. too. And like I was reading something about how one building was like really French style, like Baroque like style like building, and like the people that were in America, because it was like a French architect or something, and they were like it's too French, like because a lot of other things were like kind of French style architecture, and they kind of wanted to be different. I don't know, it's kind of interesting.
That is interesting
for sure. But there's a lot of French influence, and like also Greek, obviously. Like every building in Washington D.C. has like giant columns and fucking Ionic columns and Doric and Corinthian.
Yes,
and
I like it.
All sorts of stuff. So, anyways, so the mall's initial proposal took over a century to be developed and transformed into the outdoor space that it is today. It's been being transformed for the last 2 centuries, basically.
Dude, can you imagine? That sucks, though. And they're just like,
isn't that insane?
It's like hiring a contractor to do work, and they're like, oh, we just need 4 more months. We just need 4 more weeks. We just need 4 more decades.
Yeah, seriously. It was, yeah, it's crazy. So from 1791 to 2016, the National Mall materialized from blueprint to reality. So, like, it's been being transformed since 1791, when it was, like,
from the conception of it?
Conception. So, the mall, again, is known as the grassy area or the green space between the Washington Monument and the Capitol building. That's technically what the mall is considered, but the National Mall is like pretty much the entire area of like where the monuments are, from the Capitol to the Lincoln Memorial and like the museums in between.
Okay.
Which there are 32 monuments and museums within this National Mall.
Damn.
All in this stretch of land in the middle of Washington, D.C. that stretches to the Potomac
River.
Anyway, so how did the National Mall come to be? So after George Washington handpicked D.C. to be the site for the nation's new capital, which, again, I didn't pay attention to history.
I didn't know that.
And it was originally in Philadelphia. And, like, they were actually,
I vaguely remember that part.
Yeah, and they actually, like, I mean, there were presidents' houses in Philadelphia, and, like...
Which makes a lot of sense.
And some people really wanted Philadelphia to still be the capital, but Washington was like, no, it's going to be what he decided.
We're doing it here.
Washington District of
and
Columbia.
It's going to be just like its own like little place. So
yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
So yeah, Washington basically was like, so they actually built him and John Adams like a mansion in Philadelphia or something to like live in, because they wanted, that's where the president would reside. Right. But they're like, no, fuck you guys. We're going to go build up Washington, D.C. and
that's where we're going to
build this. Okay.
Did they do it because, like, I thought there was like some reason for it. I can't remember if they were just being assholes. It could have been just being assholes.
They probably weren't being just assholes. I just think
it might have been
they wanted a new.
Yeah.
They wanted like.
I'm not gonna pretend that I know.
I know. I shouldn't.
I'm not. I'm be like, they did it for this. I'm like, Shay, you listened for 3 minutes in all of 7th grade, so shut the fuck up.
So yeah, I don't know the exact reasoning behind that. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're fine.
So So George Washington ended up hiring a French engineer. So,
of course. But I guess
to design the city, basically, of Washington D.C., and his name was Pierre L'enfant.
I guess because back then too, like the professionals are still from the old country. From yesteryear of yore. They're also from. I mean, if you want something done right, I mean, we probably didn't have the experience, or the professionals are going to be from.
They're like, well,
overseas.
to ship you across, we have a bunch of gold and shit, so just come
on
here.
over, Pierre. They're like, my name is not Pierre. Like, you're Pierre now. Like, oh,
It
well,
was
that's
Pierre.
welcome to me. Really? Was it?
His name was Pierre Lefant.
Oh,
Lefant.
there you be.
Good job.
Yep, that was me not being an
they-
asshole.
Yeah. Speaking of that,
Yes?
I had an Uber driver who was from Jordan, the country of Jordan. I mean,
That's
that's
cool.
not a state, so.
It's okay.
And I asked, he was like literally a little angel. He was an angel man sent to us
Why?
to drive us to the airport. I don't know. He just like, I don't know. He was like really kind and just had, I don't know. Anyways,
Those are always
it
good
was just a
experiences.
good timing for him to be like the nicest person I've ever met.
nice.
And just be like really I don't know. It was like really synchronicity, like serendipitous that he was our Uber driver. But anyways, he was from Jordan, and he was like asking us what our names were, and then I asked him what his name was, and he was like, my American name or my real name? And I was like, your real name.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucked up.
It's true.
And his name was like, I know people do that because they're like,
it's easier.
people can't pronounce my name, which is really sad. It's like, we can fucking learn how to pronounce Tchaikovsky.
That's people
like,
just being assholes. And
exactly.
It's just like, that's
and
what,
being ignorant.
And unfortunately, it's probably like from either that they are just told that from when they come to this country, or they were just, it's just like how my mom and her siblings really don't know any Spanish because that generation was taught, like, you do not speak Spanish,
English.
you lose your native tongue, and you fit in and you be English. You were not going to be different. And I think it's still carried over onto, other people.
Yeah.
So it sucks. It's sad.
It is sad. But I feel, yeah. But anyways, I just thought that was interesting. I was like, I want to know your real name.
It's also why I can't speak Spanish either.
You.
I am. I mean,
You
again.
little bruja.
I mean, again, it's like I know the swear words, some of them, and then like pinata.
Do you know what bruja means?
No.
It means witch.
Oh. No.
Perfect for the time because tomorrow's Halloween.
I just know the kukui.
Cooey.
It's like the boogeyman.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Chupacabra.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, anyway. Back to Pierre, which was apparently his real name, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So in 19
Guys,
this was way earlier than that.
97.
1791, L'Enfant. I'm gonna fucking fuck that up. I spoke Spanish, so like when I try to speak French, it's not right.
Yeah, that's fair.
So L'Enfant imagined a grand avenue, he called it, and it was gonna be lined with trees, different embassies and gardens that were cutting across downtown DC, which is basically what the National Mall is, but his original plan is not how it is today. So he also envisioned a canal running along its north side, crossing the south in front of the Capitol, connecting to the Anacostia River, which it did actually have a canal for a little while. And through much of the 19th century, the canal was effectively pretty much a sewer. And the mall was a chaotic mixed-use free-for-all where, like, people just, like, didn't really know what to do there. Like, so that was, like, there was a bunch of people just, like, there was a big grassy area and, like people just, like, it wasn't, like, organized, really. It was just kind of like, all right, we're going to build this huge area.
Right.
But people aren't going to know what to do in it. So, and then there's going to be this canal that, like, people, like, kind of
That's how that
trashed
goes.
and shit.
Yeah.
So like I said, the canal, it was actually like they built this canal from like the Potomac. And it was finished in 1815.
Damn.
And it kind of made part of that city like almost like an island. Basically one of the main reasons for building this canal was because Washington wanted it to be a major like port from like getting in from the Potomac, and then they could bring it in right to the Capitol.
Right.
But that did not work out.
That
And
would
it
be
actually
amazing.
ended up being filled in the 1870s. So now it's a big grassy area.
Oh.
And it was swampy for a while, but then they,
That's fair.
reconfigured some things over the last 100 years, so it's not. So Washington actually fired Lenefant before he could fully execute his grandiose plan. So he had all these plans to do things, but it just, a lot of the stuff didn't work out. And then he Lenefant demolished a house of a prominent local of a local landowner in order to construct a new road, and like Washington got mad about that, and then some other things happened, and he ended up firing Lenefant.
Like, you just can't go tearing down people's houses. And he's like, but why?
But it's my job.
It's my job.
It is my art.
Don't stay
So
for
the
me.
idea of the National Mall, so Lenefant's plan was just like this mall area.
Right.
But the National Mall wasn't resurrected until 1902 when this man named with the Macmillan Commission. And it was an urban renewal plan to revitalize the city and institute a comprehensive park system. So that's how it's been formed pretty much today. And instead of a grand avenue that Lenefant envisioned, a long stretch, which was just going to be kind of a smaller area, just lined with trees, ended up being this long stretch of grass, which is in between like the Capitol and then the Capitol to the Washington Monument, and then there's like the big water spot, the water part goes up to the Lincoln Memorial.
Right. Now that one.
The National Mall has been host to, as you guys know, a lot of renowned political protests and speeches. Obviously, most notably, like I said before, Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington protest.
Oh, hell yeah.
And his I Have a Dream speech. And then also the 1969 protest against the Vietnam War was there. And, like, it's a fucking huge area. So envisioning that area filled with people is insane to think about.
Right.
It is huge. Like,
Right.
me and Chris walked around the entire thing.
Yeah.
Which took us, like we stopped a little bit
Right.
at places, but, like,
Not.
it was like a couple fucking miles. Like
Right.
like it took us, like we were walking around. We literally were walking nonstop for like almost 4 hours,
No, that makes sense. Like,
and we were just in that area.
yeah, and
going
especially
places.
when you start walking down, like that reflection pool or whatever. Like, you do realize how humongous it is, and you think about like just when you see like just past, televised, like with Martin Luther King, or even like putting like 1,000 extras in, or even more probably in, Forrest Gump or something like that. I mean, it's a massive. It doesn't look massive, but it's fucking huge.
Yeah, when you're actually in it, you're
Yeah.
like,
You're like, holy shit.
and like looking down the line of like where these things are. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my
Yeah.
god, that's a lot of space. And it's presently, the mall is nicknamed America's Front Yard. It houses more than 60.
so
It
cute.
actually houses more than 65 memorials in total, in that whole area. And that whole area is like all government buildings, like marble, like crazy fucking columns, and like
Damn.
really pristine, beautiful buildings.
Nice.
So here's a little fun fact. The Capitol and the White House were the district's first major public buildings, but both of them were rebuilt after the British burned the city in 1814, which I forgot about. And then Pennsylvania Avenue, which is where the White House is, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah.
I think that's the address.
That's correct.
I egged it. I should remember. Just
that's
kidding,
true.
I didn't. I would have definitely gone to work release for that.
I think it'd be a little bit more than work release, but everyone would have been like,
Yeah.
they would be cheering you.
Yeah.
mean,
so it was named by Thomas Jefferson in 1791, and it became downtown Washington's first street. And the intent was to connect the White House to the Capitol building. So like all the
Like
roads,
a tunnel. I'm just joking.
just a regular street
I'm
that went
just joking.
diagonally.
Yeah.
So all the streets around it are like in like a grid, but Pennsylvania Avenue literally comes from the White House diagonally straight to the Capitol.
Interesting.
So I just thought that was kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. I honestly thought, because I feel like we had maybe a taxi driver that wasn't, maybe he didn't know, or maybe he was being super honest, and I don't know. It was an interesting fact. Like they said, like the reason why a lot of the the streets are kind of fucked up because they look like it's like they'll be kind of like that where it's like these diagonal streets, and it's like why like you can't like the turns are really fucking weird. So the taxi driver that I was talking to said like it's because they were built for horse and buggy, and then they didn't fix anything. They just paved over those fucking roads.
Yeah.
So I thought
it
that
is
was
kind of weird. There are some weird diagonal like
and that's what
streets.
But
Pennsylvania Avenue, like around there, it's kind of like a grid, like rectangle.
Oh, okay.
Also, this whole area is like in this. It kind of looks like if you look at an aerial view, I'll post it on our Instagram.
Yeah.
But it's like, it looks like a big coffin.
Oh.
Like the tip of it's the Lincoln Memorial, and then it comes out like angled, and then it goes like straight, but then there's also a big cross in the center of it too.
I am sure
it's very strategically
I'm
designed.
Sure there is some hocus pocus conspiracy theory that we can look up, and I'm sure it's like this is what it was built on. The bones of Satan's children's
the bones.
Yeah. You know.
So let's talk about the buildings and things around. Yes. I just want to give you a couple fun facts and different things that are included in this National Mall area.
Yeah.
So the White House was the first building to be built, and it was 1800 when it was built.
Oh, cool.
So it's been home to every president since John Adams.
Nice.
In 1800. The architect of the White House was actually chosen in a design competition.
Okay.
So they received 9 different proposals from different architects for this competition, and one was actually submitted anonymity by Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, really?
He didn't win, though. They were like, fuck you, you're stupid. Just kidding. Stupid. They didn't say that. But they didn't like his architecture. Oh. So the building was originally referred to as President's Palace, Presidential Mansion, or the President's House. And the earliest evidence of the public actually calling it the White House was recorded in 1811. Huh. And the myth emerged that during the rebuilding of the structure after the burning of Washington, when the British came and fucking lit the city
listen
on
up,
fire.
Children.
It is said, this is apparently a myth, they don't really know if it's true, but
it's like lore.
There was white paint that was applied to mask the burn damage it had suffered, and that's why it's called the White House.
They're just like, just put some paint on it.
Just
it'll be
paint
fine.
it.
Just paint over it.
Hey, you guys, just go
Didn't
paint
know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so, well, that was fun. So that was in 1800. So the next building to be built was the U.S. Capitol, and that was in 1829. When it was established. So, the United States Capitol is obviously among the most symbolically important and architecturally impressive buildings in the nation. Good job, Bree. You didn't know what it was.
It's okay.
I knew what the building looked like, but I don't know. I didn't think that was the White House, but I just didn't think it was the Capitol building in Washington, D.C.
It's okay. Like, for the longest time, because I'm an idiot and my assumption skills are lacking. So if you go to Austin, Texas, the capital of Texas, it's pretty much the identical building to the Capitol, except it's like tan. And I was like, that's weird. Why would they model it after the Texas Capitol? It's so fucking stupid. My deducing skills are not the best. Not the sharpest.
Austin was first.
That's it, and that is a Texan mentality too. It's just like we have like this fucking Texan pride. It's like fucking ridiculous. Like, fuck logic.
Texas. I love when I see
Caddy
Texas
will attest to that too. I tell you,
trucks or they're like Texas edition. It's like it's just 6 times bigger. Anyway, you Texans. So the U.S. Capitol has housed meeting chambers of the House of Representatives and the Senate for over 2 centuries, which is insane to think about.
That is pretty insane.
Like, they've been doing that shit in there for 200 years. That's insane. Mm-hmm. But also, it also made me feel like we literally are so young compared to everywhere else in the fucking world.
And if you
We're
think about
like
that,
babies.
I mean, you think about that. You're like, I like to go to the East Coast because they have stuff built from 17, blah, 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 blah.
And it's like,
and then you're just like, that's cute. We have stuff from the year 4. Like, shut up.
From the year 3000 BC.
It's true. It's crazy.
We got caves over here.
It's true. It's crazy.
So there was another competition to build the U.S. Capitol. They liked competitions, I guess. And it was suggested by the Secretary of State, who was Thomas Jefferson at the time, and President George Washington, that would award $500 and a city lot to whomever produced the winning plan by mid-July of that
Can we
year.
do that? Like, go back to that system now?
You guys
Here's
want
some
to
land.
Yeah, seriously.
Build a really good, draw a really good drawing.
Yeah, can you guys have contests for, like, small businesses? Like, if you guys have the best fucking concept,
Right.
here's your land for here's
fucking
$500
free.
and we'll fucking sponsor it.
Yep. And here's my daughter.
And here's my left knee and my finest cow.
Perfect.
So the cornerstone of the Capitol building was laid by President Washington himself on September 18th, 1793.
Meaning he did like a little section of it and the rest of his workers came in.
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
like,
like,
I did it.
Yeah, I started it, so you guys fucking finish the rest,
He-
and I'll
he-
go
he
find
sat-
some ladies.
He sat for like
to-
the still, like the oil painting and just like, okay, now I'm done.
Do you remember the drunk history with George Washington and that one?
I don't think I remember that one.
I forget her name. Anyways, it's a good one. I don't delete that. So on August 24th, 1814, British troops set fire to the building during the War of 1812. A rainstorm actually prevented its complete destruction. But in 1815, Washington ended up making repairs to it to help finish it off. So by 1850, so it wasn't finished completely after that until 1829.
Oh, okay.
So in 1850, the Capitol could no longer accommodate the increasing numbers for the senators and representatives. So another fucking competition was held.
Jesus Christ. I love it. If that isn't like America, I don't even know
All right,
what
just
is.
compete against each other.
That makes so much more sense. Like why we have fucking hot dog eating contests and like burger eating contests during like 4th of July bullshit. It's just like, you know what? This is the reason
America.
why. It's America. It's like survival of the fucking
It's all
fittest.
about competition.
It is. It is all about.
And if someone else is doing something, that's your competition. You can't, it's
Absolutely.
not like collaborative. It's
It's
competing.
it is the like if you're not first, you're last mentality.
So this other competition was held again, offering $500 for the best plan to extend the Capitol now.
Was it just like they're like we don't really want to hire somebody at full price, and
Well,
we
it's
just
probably like hard, like you said earlier, like
they don't have a lot of they don't have
like,
like
I don't know who the fuck can do this, so
like-
let's see what you guys got.
yeah, right, like yeah,
We'll drink our cider and decide.
right, like we only have like it's like fucking Mumford and Sons over there, like fucking in carpentry since like 6 months ago, and that's pretty much the most experienced guys that we've got. So let's just throw it to the wolves and see what they do.
Yeah,
I don't know
basically.
why I use Mumford and Sons as example,
Oh,
but
that's
whatever.
fine. Oh, that's
You get
right
what I'm
on
trying
track.
to say.
So, I thought this was interesting. In 1856, the old dome that was on the Capitol was removed and then they replaced it with a fireproof cast iron dome because they didn't want that shit to light on fire again.
Damn.
But I'm like, wasn't it made out of like marble before?
I
Like,
know.
how that shit catch on fire? But that shit probably, if it does catch on fire, gets real fucking hot.
No fucking shit. Like I have
Or
like
it takes way too long to get it hot, so it doesn't set on fire. I guess that's probably the
maybe,
concept.
but it's still like I don't know that even if but like what if it does get to that point and you're just like holy shit, you've probably touched a cast iron skillet before when it's super fucking hot.
Oh yeah,
It burns you.
just my whole hand right on there.
Boof.
So construction was actually suspended in 1861 again, so that the Capitol could be used as military barracks, a hospital, and a bakery for the Civil War. So
But mostly a bakery.
yeah,
be honest.
At least it was a bakery.
Yeah, come on now. Like I'm gonna die of like because my eye fell out, but like at
Can I
least
have a croissant?
I smell that. It probably was a croissant because it probably was a French fucking baker.
It
'Cause
was.
everything was
They
French.
shipped them over. However, in 1862, the construction resumed because Lincoln, who was the president at the time, believed that the Capitol must go on, and just as the Union must go on, so Abraham Lincoln of him.
That is, I bet you he said
So
it just.
Abe.
He probably just said it just as like just sternly as you. Actually, I imagine like how Abe Lincoln would speak was probably something similar to Dumbledore.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
He's
very
number one and
regal.
2, Richard Harris Dumbledore.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. Probably.
Yeah, that's what I just imagined it. Anyway, go on.
So, as of now, it stands as the focal point of the government's legislative branch and as the centerpiece of the Capitol Hill and the National Mall. So, it's at the very, I don't know what direction. I think it's west,
I mean,
the west end of the National Mall.
okay.
Don't quote me on that. I don't know. But it's at the one very end of the mall, and it's the biggest fucking part of it. That's for sure. So the next building to be built, which was the most surprising building I saw, was the Smithsonian Castle. And
I don't
it
think I remember
looked
that one.
unlike any other building in that area because it's like this red sandstone, dark red brick sandstone building. Every other building in that area is like big marble, like fucking
Right.
columns and all this shit.
And
This
that one
literally
was-
looks like a Dutch castle almost. And it was the first major building in the National Mall besides, the Capitol and the White House. And for a while, it seemed like the architecture of the city and the mall might lean toward this same color, but they are like this same kind of style. But literally, no other building in the area is like this. So it's pretty unique. It's pretty cool. So until 1881. Well, first it served as the home and office for the first secretary of the Smithsonian, which was Joseph Henry. And then until 1881, it housed all aspects of Smithsonian operations, including research, administrative offices, lecture halls, exhibit halls, a library, chemical laboratories, storage areas
Damn.
for specimens, and living quarters for the secretary, his family, and visiting scientists.
Damn.
So in the 1880s, the south yard behind the castle was built up to be a national zoo, which I think that's even free, too.
Really? I
this-
didn't know there was a zoo back there.
There's a zoo back there.
Had no
There's
idea.
a big carousel, famous carousel there.
I don't remember that part. Again, that was like in my teen years when I went, and I was just complicated and too cool for school.
Yeah, it's fine. So even though it was like built in 1885 or 1855, it wasn't even recognized as a national landmark until 1977, which I thought was kind of weird.
That is a little weird.
So next on our list is the Washington Monument, and that was in 1884, and it's pretty much its finality of building it. So it first started the construction in 1858, but political squabbling halted the construction, and for decades it was like a little stump of it was like a third of the size that it is now, which is 555 feet and like 5.87 inches.
Zynga.
So it was completed in 2 different phases of construction. The first phase was private, and that's when it was just a little stump for a while.
Right.
And then it was public in between 1876 and 1884 is when it was built in its entirety. So the built-in it's the shape of an Egyptian obelisk. Mm-hmm. And when it was completed, the Washington Monument.
The mosh pit of the Washington.
The Washington.
The Washington.
The Washington Monument
Schmortion.
was the tallest building in the world when it was finally finished at,
Right.
555 feet. It definitely isn't now, but
No.
it was the tallest building at one point. And the second phase of construction was kind of difficult because they couldn't use the original stone that they used anymore because they fucking used it all because they dug it all out of Maryland or wherever it was.
They're like, hey, we gotta go
Like,
down to the Home Depot.
Oh, things run out when we
Shit.
dig it out of the earth? That's fucking weird. Well, we'll find a new hole to dig.
We can't get on Amazon.com to prime that shit.
Yeah, no. So, it's kind of funny because I didn't know this until I researched this, but like you can tell like where it was built at a different time, and I was like,
Interesting,
did they
I didn't
just
know
like
that.
renovate the first part of it and then
They're
the
like,
rest
"Fuck
of it
it, it's
they're
fine."
just like, and I was like, maybe it's like been wind blown so much that's why it looks so different, but it's because they had to use different stones from different areas to finish the rest of the monument.
I kind of like that
and that's why
I kind of like that they didn't restore it or anything like that, and they kept it as it was. That's pretty cool.
yeah, and it's fucking tall. It's a
Right.
tall old place. Also, I didn't realize you can go inside it, but you have to have tickets, so I didn't do that.
I did not know until I watched Spider-Man 3. No, Spider-Man 2. I can't remember which one. I think it was Spider-Man 2. That you could go into the Washington Monument. I didn't know
Which
that.
it's like...
I had no fucking idea. I thought it was just like
all stone
Yeah.
until there's a little window up top.
Yeah, which I'm like, what the fuck is that for? It's like, well, he was making it for his wife, but then they were like, no, you can't do that.
This is the representation
They're like,
of
well,
my...
then fucking fine. Then I'm just gonna
wiener
like
for you.
donate it to the fucking city because I can't keep my wife in a fucking tower. Go fuck yourself.
It was for Rapunzel. It was representing his dick.
Yeah. There's a tiny hole in the top. I don't know. Jesus fucking Christ.
Anyway. So I lost my spot.
It's fine because we were talking about wieners.
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 So that's the Washington Monument fun facts for
Okay.
you.
I like it.
Oh, I also really wanted to share this. I forgot to about the Capitol.
Uh-huh.
It covers a ground area of 175,170 square feet and has the floor area of about 16.5 acres.
Do you know what I think
That's
about?
how fucking huge the Capitol is.
Do you know what makes me really feel 30? I'm just like, God, what is their utility bill like? Jesus
Right?
Christ. Anyway, moving on.
So next is the National Museum of Natural History, which is where I went, which is one of the Smithsonian's where like the fossils and shit are. And that was like one of my favorite places because so first of all, it was built in 1910.
Okay.
It was established to the house cultural and natural history collections from the United States Exploring Expedition between like 1838 to 1842. And it housed art, culture, history, geology, and natural history collections totaling over 10 million objects. And then this is really fucked up that I found out
Yeah.
after going there and was wondering, like, how did they get all these things here? So, the taxidermists produced striking new exhibits featuring specimens collected on a Smithsonian Roosevelt African expedition of 1909 to 1910, which basically means, in my mind, that they basically went on an expedition to hunt a bunch of wild animals and bring them back to taxidermy and put in
Ew,
these
that gives me the
insane...
chills.
They have an elephant. They have giraffes. They have incredible animals taxidermied in that museum.
And it
I
wasn't
was like,
because they got
did they
them-
just like get donated those? No, I'm pretty sure they went and shot them themselves,
That's,
which made me kind of really fucking mad.
well,
It
that's
was the
because it's
1900s. I mean, the Smithsonian was a cool place,
But that's really
but
sad.
that made me really sad when I read that. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming a Smithsonian Roosevelt African expedition of 1909 to 1910, which is where they collected the specimens, was because they fucking hunted
That
them.
is exactly what you read into it. Yes, you're correct.
So, like they had like crazy sea animals in there and shit too. But I mean,
Ugh.
it was kind of it was crazy. And they like, make them like they position them to be in like natural, like, oh, I'm attacking a wildebeest.
Right.
2-3 lions attacking a wildebeest is one of the things you can see.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. You can see a giant giraffe bending down. Like, it's
Yeah.
cool, but it's also like, this is fucked up.
It's true. Ugh.
But I will say, the coolest fucking thing the thing I liked was the gem and minerals. Like the Hope Diamond is in
See, now that's really
in
cool.
the museum, which
Yeah.
was like I don't really give a fuck about diamonds,
But it's still like
that
cool.
was dope.
But
like,
it's cool to like kind of like
it's like a blue fucking diamond,
right, which I didn't know that when I saw it.
Very
I was like, what the
sparkly,
fuck is
guys.
this? So, like, it's the Hope Diamond. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Yeah, got it.
But like the gem and minerals, like all the different, that was a really cool section. And then also like the dinosaur bones and stuff. My favorite thing of like that I think I saw of all the things was they had a giant sloth fucking skeleton.
What? That must have looked.
It's like the
fucking
size of an
bananas.
elephant.
What?
And it's a giant sloth skeleton, like the whole thing. I like almost cried when I saw it because it literally made me feel like we're just on this planet for such a tiny baby amount of time. Like these things used to fucking roam around the world.
So
It's crazy!
So it's like an extinct animal,
Yes.
but it was a giant, as big as the
You've
fucking
never heard
elephant.
of a giant sloth?
No, I thought you just meant like it was a giant sloth, not
No.
like a giant sloth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought you were
Yeah.
using it as an
No.
adjective.
No,
I
no,
didn't
no.
understand.
Like a prehistoric giant sloth that used to walk around.
Shut
Like they
the
were the size of
fuck
like
up.
fucking elephants. I'm not kidding.
I don't even know what that would look like.
I didn't take a picture because my phone was dying and I was afraid because I was like, I have to Google Maps shit later. I did take some pictures, but
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Yeah, look it up.
I'm looking it up right now.
That was the coolest fucking thing I saw in that museum. And I also thought the giant T-Rex thing was in there, which there was a couple T-Rex and Brontosaurus bones, which was dope.
Right.
But I think
those
I was
are-
envisioning like the Jurassic Park T-Rex skeleton, and it wasn't like that. There's also
I
a
was expecting
raptor
Jurassic
from
Park.
Morrison, Colorado there too. There's a lot of fossils from Colorado.
Oh damn.
So that was cool. So that's the National Museum of Natural History. I'll talk quickly about Lincoln Memorial. And that was the next thing to be built, which was in 1922. 1922.
1922.
So the architect Henry Bacon modeled the Lincoln Memorial after the Parthenon in Athens. And the towering memorial is 190 feet long, 120 feet wide, and 99 feet tall. And it was constructed with Colorado Yule marble.
Oh,
Isn't that special?
it's real
Yeah, that shit is
special.
all marble. That was Lincoln Memorial was dope too.
Yeah, I remember that
see
part,
that.
and I was just like, it was pretty, just awe-inspiring.
It took over 4 years to build the actual statue.
That's not shocking.
No,
I'm glad they didn't
I've-
run out of the same material on his.
right?
Can you
They're like,
imagine?
we have to do a different.
His
half
hands are
face
different.
is different stone.
It would be weird.
So the reflecting pool that's in front of the Lincoln Memorial wasn't completed in time for the memorial's dedication. But it has become one of the most recognizable and filmed sites in Washington, D.C. That pool area.
Right.
Also, there's I don't know what memorial is on the other end of it, but it's like has all of the states like. I thought it was I don't know what memorial it was.
Okay.
It might have been the fucking one of the war memorials.
Okay.
But it was really cool. It had like really beautiful fountains and like had every state with like a wreath
Oh, that's pretty
thing
cool.
and like they had these beautiful like it was a really beautiful memorial at the other end of Lincoln Memorial, but wow, I didn't even know what it was because I was speed walking by it. And I
That's
was like,
fair.
what's
I feel
that?
like it's.
I gotta go.
Is it the Vietnam one?
It might be the Vietnam one.
It might be the
Well,
Vietnam one.
No, the Vietnam one I think is the big I didn't see this either, but the big black like tower, like it's just like black.
Oh, that's the one I'm thinking
Marble.
of. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. So I'm thinking of yeah. Then I'm not. I
I
don't
think
know
this
which
was
one.
the World War II memorial.
You might be right. I don't know which one that was.
But
I was
I
thinking of
don't
the
know
black
why
one.
it would
That
be
was
all
the
this-
Vietnam one. So I was wrong.
I don't
fine.
know, guys. Maybe tell me. But anyways, so that's the Lincoln Memorial. So next we built was the Botanic Gardens, which we did get to go to, which was cool. It was built in 1933. It was actually not. I thought it was gonna be a lot bigger. Like I think Denver Botanic Gardens is bigger. There were a couple parts that were closed, but
Yeah.
it was really pretty. They had a lot of different like ecosystems within the Botanic Gardens, and it was
That's pretty
obviously
cool.
a beautiful building. And then they had this really cool outdoor garden area, and then they had this really cool like art installation that they're doing right now, which is like these really tall like grasses that they like twisted into like this crazy maze thing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I saw a picture that you posted.
That was really cool.
That's awesome.
So then there's a lot of, the National Gallery of Art, West Building was built 1941, Thomas Jefferson Memorial 1943. There's like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was 1982. The National Air and Space Museum was built 1976.
Went to that one. That was cool.
Yeah, I didn't go in that.
That
but
was
it's
pretty cool.
Huge.
We didn't go to the planetarium, which I wanted to because we didn't have time.
That would've been
but it would have been
Yeah,
awesome.
like I want to spend a week there.
Yeah, I think you need to.
Chris's friend is getting married in April, which is
Whoa.
when all the cherry blossoms are fucking happening. So I think we might need to go back
Yeah,
for that.
for sure.
So the National museum. There's a National Museum of African Art, which was built in 1987, is also there. The Holocaust Museum was built in 1993. The Korean War Veterans Memorial is there, 1995. There's this couple sculpture gardens. And then this other museum, the Museum of the American Indian, which is what I really wanted to go into, but we didn't get to go into, was built in 2004.
Took that long? Wow. Jeez,
Yeah.
guys. Jesus.
So at first, though, it was established by a man named George Gustav in 1916. It was actually in New York City. And then once he died, the museum kind of fell on hard times, and they kind of like didn't know what to do with all the exhibits that they had.
Right.
And it was like from American artifacts he collected in the late 1800s while he was working like in Arizona, and he just collected different things from
Dude,
like,
that's badass.
yeah. So at least he thought they were valuable and like should be shown to people. Like,
Yeah.
this is how these people that used to inhabit this whole entire area used to live, and
God.
you know, so at least someone actually,
Cared.
yeah. So
Jesus.
fast forward in 1989, the year I was born.
What?
George Bush signed legislation to establish the museum as a Smithsonian and bring it to Washington, D.C. And then, but then not until 2004, it was opened and became the National Museum of the American Indian. And then also, it was initially designed by a Native American architect named Douglas Cardinal. And oh my God, the building is really cool. Like,
I bet.
and it has this distinctive like curvilinear form, so it's like really, it's like kind of wavy, like like light sandstone, and it's supposed to like mimic the wind sculpted rock formations, like where Native Americans lived, and
Right.
like it's a
That's pretty
really
cool.
fucking cool building how they designed it. And that was basically their basis for the overall design, was just to look like those kind of landscapes.
I bet. That's really cool.
Stuff like that. Yeah. And then so the World War II Memorial was built in 2004. The Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial was built 2011, which I was like,
Again, that long,
what?
guys?
That took you that fucking long?
Jesus.
Anyways.
That's a little
at least-
disappointing.
Yeah, it is. But now there's also, since 2016, the National Museum of African American History, and that's the most recent museum that's been built. And it looks, it is
Again.
insane. Did you see that? When did you go?
No.
It probably wasn't built when
I
you
went
went.
I went like in 2008 maybe.
Yeah.
Probably even before that. It's actually more like 2006. And again, I say, it took that long, guys?
Yeah, seriously.
Jesus.
I know. So it doesn't look like anything else in the mall. Like, I know I just said, like, the Smithsonian Castle looks really weird, but this is, like, such intricate, like iron work on the outside. And
That's cool.
Nearly every design detail was inspired by something in African American culture. From its external lattice work, it's called the corona, and it's shaped like, I'm not going to say this right, Yoruban wood carvings.
Wow.
To shade it shaded the entrance porch that's meant to evoke a family gathering and storytelling spots.
That's cool.
It's oh my God, it's such a beautiful building, and like such intricate artwork in this like it's like I don't even know. It's just really cool. You guys should look up what it looks like, because it's very different from all the other things.
We can post it.
And when the builders were excavating the site, they found gate pieces from the old canal that crossed the area in the 19th century, which I thought was kind of cool too.
That is cool.
But yeah, I didn't get to go in. We literally were like,
You were like, oh, that's nice. That was like the
we
time
were
like when I
walking
was
around for like 3.5 hours, but like we were literally just like walking around and like, that's cool, and
Yeah.
just looking.
Yeah, you were speed walking, like how I was speed walking through the
I'm
airport to get to my
surprised
plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you're like, oh no, I can't focus on that. I gotta
legs
keep
aren't
going.
more sore, but
That is crazy.
and after 17 hours, that's all I'm gonna tell you about the National Mall
That
of
was a lot.
America.
I liked it. I learned some stuff. It made me kind of wish I was awake in like middle school history class, but you know,
I know, but that just
This
means
is
we
what
need
you
to
do.
go back.
it's true.
I really want to go back and just like,
Well, again, we need to spend a week
time.
there.
Oh,
Again, I just gotta find
yeah,
some
there's
guy
no
that-
way you can do anything like that
Yeah,
in a day.
that we can get cheap plane tickets.
Let's do it. I mean,
I'm sure there's a dating
Denver
app
to
for that.
Denver to Dulles or Denver to like Washington is not.
Well, that's the good thing about
horrible.
living in the middle of the country is I mean, everything's pretty
easy.
central and everything's pretty cheap.
As long as you're going to a major airport, you can find good
Well,
deals.
yeah, and everything's I don't think I've flown on. Almost all my flights have always been nonstop, like the last couple of years, because you're in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
It's real nice.
So that's very nice.
It's real nice.
So yeah, that's all I got for you guys.
That's
about the National Mall.
Well, buckle up, kids, because it's another long story in for you.
Oh, goody.
Big ass then, she's got a big ass now.
Got a big ass.
What's up, Bridge?
Oh, hi. We're back. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's Wheel of Fortune.
I know you've done that like 2 different times.
I do that every time.
I'm like, that's what the sound is.
Maybe
Anyway,
we should switch it up sometimes. Maybe that should be a different transition sound.
we could do that.
From like the commercials to the...
That could be a different one. I like it.
Do-do-do-do. Hey guys, we're selling this today.
It's Wacky Inflatable Balloon Man.
Mm-hmm.
So, I rolled me some crime,
You did.
which we all know this, and everyone's like, shut the fuck up and just tell us the story. Anyway, so can you name me some famous cults, Brianna?
Oh no. I just actually watched a whole show about cults.
And yeah, and can maybe
What's that one guy? The
which
fucking
one guy? Jesus fucking Christ!
That there's like a couple different church cults, like the Holy.
Almost all of our church
Also, I
cults.
watched. There's also the show called Haunted. And
Yeah, I've not watched that whole thing. I've watched some of it, but it's like real stories that scares the shit out of me, so I don't want to watch it.
yeah, they're scary as fuck. But there's one about this man that was gay, and his family was part of a fucking religious cult, and they sent him to this insane torture place where they like tortured him, like I forget, like the world's fucking
What?
I don't know.
Gross.
I don't know any.
Well, it's not that
specific
cult,
names.
but you don't know any
The
specific
World
names.
Religion Organization or something, and then fucking what's his name? The murderer, occult guy.
I'm like, there's a lot of them that are murderer cults, guys.
I don't know people's name. Okay, just tell me. I just can't guess anymore. It's not fun.
That backfired on me. Okay.
I can't think of any.
that
ones.
completely backfired on me.
My brain doesn't work.
Okay, well, do you
What's
know
his name? Jimmy Hoffa? Just kidding.
Jimmy? Jesus Christ. Well, do you know anyone that have to do with a punch?
Oh yeah, I don't know the name though.
Do you know any?
Haley Bop Comet Cult?
That's the one. Do you know anyone
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
drinking the Kool-Aid? Do you know any like thing really about that cult, which is called Jonestown?
Jonestown.
But it's actually
I think I think they talked about that and
it's a pretty famous one, or an infamous one. It's not a famous one.
And
but
like it was a religious guy, and he brought a bunch of people, and it was like all about peace and stuff, and people living together.
Yes.
And then he just like poisoned everyone,
right.
and
So-
because he was like, everyone's gonna kill us.
Right.
Is that him?
Yeah,
That's
so you're
Jonestown,
pretty
right?
on the nose.
What
yeah,
was his
about it.
name? James Jones or something?
Close. Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
Jim
yes.
Jones, and the group, I guess, is really what he would call it, but it's better known as a cult now. It was called the People's Temple.
The People's Temple. That's
Yes.
what. Yeah.
So we're gonna be talking about that today.
Oh God.
So it's this one. I don't want to say it's near and dear to my heart because that's fucking weird, but it's one of the ones that like I was most fascinated with because
It's insane.
they kept like an insane amount, like a humongous video library of just when he would preach, when like just even in gatherings of people, like I think he just liked to be on TV and he liked to hear himself talk and everything else. So there's a lot of like actual audio recordings of like just the comings and goings. So it was just really fascinating that you could hear
And that they
people
recorded
interacting
all
with
of it.
him, and it was very, very bizarre. So you can like hear into the madness. So anyway, so here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so Jonestown, otherwise known as People's Temple, was one of the most infamous cults in modern times. There have been numerous documentaries, which I'm sure you've seen some over the years, books and TV specials on the subject. The documentaries actually is like, again, like what made me like be super fucking fascinated. Not because I'm a sicko and not because I'm like researching.
It's just fascinating because it's like so far away from your actual thinking.
Yeah, you
and
just
that
wanna know-
people can like succumb to other people telling them to do this shit, and it's like, what?
You're
It
trying
is fascinating. That's
you're
why I think I'm
fascinated.
fascinated with it. Like, what? How can...
You want to know why they... And especially with this, because you really get a window into their world, like a literal window into the world.
I think it kind of makes me feel a little better about myself sometimes.
Sometimes I'm like,
I would never do that.
And then I'm like, oh wait, maybe
Unless
I
Drake
would.
told me.
Yeah. See, there you go. Brianna.
I'm not kidding.
I know you're not. That's what's so terrifying about it.
Drake knows. Okay.
He does know.
And he'll tell me.
So, born on May 13th of 1931 in Crete, Indiana, Jim Jones was largely left to himself, as his mother was often working and his father had little interest in him. Spoiler alert, he was an alcoholic. Yeah.
The dad or the child?
The dad. The dad. Well,
The child.
the child. So, yeah. So he was an alcoholic. So he was like really left to his own devices. His mom had to like fucking work, I think, like 2 jobs to just keep them afloat because the dad just was fucking useless. So Jim used to hold, so this is kind of like a little tiny, I'm not doing a whole thing on his childhood just because we don't have 4 fucking hours, but he used to hold funerals for animals that he killed. And sometimes it would be like his neighbor's animals that he killed. So it's just like, I can't imagine like
Just
little
for fun?
little Sally's like, look at this new kitten. And then he just kills it and just like, you're going to come to its funeral now. I'm like, but I don't, you're going to come to his funeral now. I'm like, but you, and so you actually, in some of the documentaries, they're like, they thought it was really weird because when he would, not only was he just holding funerals, but he was holding funerals for animals that he killed. Like, it was very bizarre. So, so it made like a lot of the
And
little
his family
kids,
thought that was fine. They still shouldn't
weren't-
hang out with
well,
him.
and they weren't. It just made the kids kind of uneasy. But you know, it's 1930s. Like, what else are they gonna do?
Yeah.
They're like, we're just gonna go hang out with him and just maybe.
Well, it's better than buying him a new color TV.
It's not
It
even
wasn't
then.
in the 30s.
It wasn't even like a black and white TV.
I don't know.
We're Americans. We don't know.
Should have
things.
gone to the American History Pop Culture Museum so I could have found out.
Clearly. So we cut like kind of fast forward to him being a teenager. So while working in a hospital as a teenager, Jones met I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, but Marceline Baldwin. The two were married in June of 1949. And Jones and Marceline had 1 child together and adopted several children of various ethnicities. Jones was proud of his little rainbow family, quote unquote.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
yeah,
The
and
Rainbow Family.
He was, and he urged others to adopt interracially. They actually were the first white couple to adopt an African American baby in Indiana, and it was like a fact that he wouldn't shut the fuck up about. So they're like, okay, yes, we get it. Yeah, you're amazing. You're Jack Pearson, which if you don't watch This Is Us, that reference means nothing to you.
I
So
don't know.
there
what
you
that
go.
means.
Never mind.
Or Game of Thrones.
Well, we're not gonna talk about that. Jesus. So I just have to keep drinking because it just makes me so upset, this whole fucking story. So while working in, I already said that, just kidding. So Jones tried to be a student pastor at an already established church, but he quickly quarreled with the church leadership. Jones, who strongly opposed segregation, wanted to integrate the church, which was not a popular idea at the time. So, I mean, honestly, so like, at first, his like kind of intentions and everything else was
Seemed
really
good.
admirable. Like, he wanted, I mean, this was like what, in the probably like around the 40s or the 50s, and he really wanted to like make some steps forward. He believed in like everything that Martin Luther King probably was going to be saying and everything else, and he really believed in just uniting people. So, and that's what gravitated people toward him, because
Yeah, like,
he was speaking about
how
these
could this guy be
really
bad?
right, speaking about these really amazing ideas, trying to unite us. So that's kind of how this all started.
That's really fucking scary.
It isn't. It's incredibly scary, and that's in a lot of the documentaries as well. Some of the ex-members kind of talk about, and they touch on that. They're like, he had these amazing ideas, but just somewhere along the way, he just went the other direction, and they don't know kind of what happened. But I mean, like, if he's killing animals in his youth, I mean, that's fucking red flags all over the place. In spring of 1952, Jim accepted a position as a student pastor at Somerset Methodist Church. He excelled in the role, and he's still in Indiana. He excelled in the role and had quickly set up a youth center, which was open to children of all faiths. He soon recognized that the way to attract the crowds, and therefore to increase church donations, was to adopt a flamboyant Pentecostal style, and to make faith healing a central part of his performances, quote unquote. These performances began to garner wider attention, and before long, he was being invited to preach at conventions and assemblies throughout Indiana.
Of the first evangelical.
Pretty much kind of
like that.
Yeah,
kind of
except
style.
sans snakes. So so he like was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get these faith. I mean, that's how they're gonna. I mean, and again in the fucking 50s, like everyone probably word of mouth. They're like, oh my god, this guy's healing people. Mm-hmm. So you can actually watch some of these faith healings actually on. They've recorded those as well. So those were, I think, recorded like more like in probably like the early 60s after like the church has been kind of founded. But you can see where these women like one woman I think gets up from like her wheelchair, and like he'll say like Edie, and he like kind of like points at her with his hands, and so I'm putting my hands out right now, and then he's like, are you feeling something? And she'll like be nodding her hand or her head, and then like he like does this fake like little like he like waves his hand at her, and then like shakes his head out like he's like casting out the demons, and then she's like, oh my god, I'm cured. So, and people would eat it up, like they would cheer, because how were they supposed to know? They didn't know, they're just like, oh my god, this is so authentic. Yeah. So, but later on, decades later, people were also finding out that these were planted people. They were planted, like it was like the secretary.
Really?
It was the secretary that was like the old lady in the wheelchair or whatever that got up and like she was like doing fucking cartwheels and shit, and it was like she was like, oh my god, I'm cured, and he would like be, and they were really good little actresses, like they would be crying,
but
and
they found out they were like planted. Like,
yeah, well, not till like years and years and years later, but people were eating up, like he would like, yeah, just dare to walk with me, and then he would have her like she would like move her legs like shakily forward, and people fucking believed it. They ate it up, like they were out, like they were eating out of the palm of his hand. So, and
modern day Jesus.
It's true, but it's really cringeworthy to watch, because you're watching these people crying, the actual not the planted audience members, but the ones that are supposed to be like kind of intaking this and like believing what was happening in front of us. They are crying, and they're just eating up everything that's coming out of this motherfucker's mouth. Just it's so sad, and a lot of these people were just, they weren't all like. People believe that a lot of people from People's Temples were like just these poor, ignorant idiots, and they're not. I mean, they were looking for just something.
They were looking for hope.
They were just looking for some hope,
and for someone to not be.
And they really thought that this is what he was. Well, it was just a bunch of bullshit. Anyway, so by the mid 1950s, Jones was filling the churches with dramatic healing sermons. At each one, he insisted that the audience be completely integrated, and the black members of the congregation would sit up front. Facts which further integrated him into like the local black community. So he was like, again, like getting more and more African American people to come, because they're like, oh, look at this amazing, he's like a black preacher in like a white body, and maybe he can at least
help. Yeah,
I mean, unfortunately in the 50s
like
it
was
sucks,
a symbol of hope,
right? Like, and like maybe he's gonna like be the future to be able to like integrate us and everything else. So again, think of the time. It was this amazing guy who was, didn't give a shit about skin color and everything else, and just he was gonna,
and that time was really,
he was gonna blow
refreshing,
the 1000%. And that was like at the height of all of this like stuff, at the beginning of all of it, like just with like the civil rights stuff and everything else. So it was his insistence on racial integration within like his like little flock that led to a split within Jim's church employer. So he hasn't had People's Temples yet. So churches in Indianapolis at the time were strictly segregated, and Jim's allowance of blacks was causing the real problems. Jim quit in disgust and set up his own community unity church. Say that 5 times fast.
Community unity.
This soon morphed into the Wings of Deliverance, which I find kind of unsettling. I don't like it.
Wings of Deliverance.
Ew. Right? Doesn't it sound like
literally
something out of like,
we're gonna hop on the Wings of Deliverance, drink the Kool-Aid.
It just freaks me out. I don't like it. Which was renamed in 1955 as the People's Temple Full Gospel Church. Oh, and I want to mention, because it was hard, I didn't know where else to put this, but so he also got a lot of the funds for People's Temples from monkey selling. So he would sell imported monkeys as pets door to door.
Monkey selling.
Monkey selling. Like actual like
I thought that was I thought you I don't
Yeah.
know what I thought you said, but you said selling.
selling. Yeah. So he would sell like these little like those little spider monkeys, and he would sell them like go like. Can you imagine like going
He
like
brought it here.
yeah he brought like and he would go door to door. Can you imagine like it? That's like you're in the
No.
market for that like like. Instead of like
want a monkey?
Instead of like Mormons knocking on your door, it's like Jim Jones with like a barrel of monkeys and just like, oh, ma'am, I noticed that you had a banana tree and no monkeys on it. Like, do you need a monkey? We're in Indiana. Like, what are you doing? Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure he ran into Ross Geller at some point, but
Monkey.
I thought that was just the most. I'm like, God, 50s. What a time to be alive. Like, just. That could be a possible thing that you.
I'm gonna door-to-door sell
That
monkeys.
somebody knocks on your door and they're just selling fucking
Raise
monkeys.
money for my cult.
Jesus Christ. Gotta raise it somehow.
Gotta love America. Let's make America great again.
Jesus, monkey selling.
Fucking door-to-door sell whatever the fuck we want.
I would buy a monkey.
You want
though.
some weed, motherfucker?
How about a monkey smoking some weed? Like, I'll have 3 of those, please. So now the church starts to grow rapidly. Jones talks about. He puts his monkey selling days behind him, but Jones talked about radical ideas at the time, which drew in young people of all different backgrounds. He also talked about how the government wasn't taking care of the elderly. So this is also the kind of the beginnings of like the government is against us, and the government and I am the answer to all of your prayers and everything else.
Oh,
the government is the enemy. So he like
kind of. Anyway.
So the government wasn't taking. I'm like, yeah, we'll just kind of skip over that. And the government wasn't taking care of the elderly, which drew in a huge, and then that drew in like a huge elderly kind of congregation, part of the congregation, because they're like, oh my God,
savior.
yes, like, and he was a smooth. I mean, he was a salesman. He knew how. I mean, he could
Regular Ted Bundy.
Oh, kind of, but not as attractive.
No.
Even though it makes me feel gross to say even Ted Bundy was attractive. Just because he's disgusting. So ex-members talked about, ex-members talk about how when they walked into People's Temple, they just felt at home. And Jones preyed on that. So, because again, it was mostly about.
That sucks.
It sucks. So like they would come in and because he would preach. Again, you can listen to the sermons and he talks about like, oh my God, yeah, everyone turn around, and let's fill this room with love and everything else. And people would come in as a safe haven because it was just people from all walks of life. It was truly a melting pot and the first of its kind. So they just felt at home because they believed in what he was saying. And it sucks because the bones of what he was saying with the integration and everything else was on point. I mean, it was like what people were looking for, especially in that it was like the beginning of that counterculture kind of mentality. And I just think that it sucks.
So
It's so sad. It's again, it's horrible. So we quickly board the Sociopath Express.
Okay, let's hop aboard.
Toot titty toot toot toot. So 1965. I don't know what is wrong with me.
Tutti frutti.
Tutti frutti. So we're at 1965 now. So worried about a nuclear attack, Jones had many church families move to Ukiah, California.
Oh,
Am I
yeah,
saying that right?
Because they were all worried. Lakaya?
Ukiah? Am I saying that right? You're from California. So
I don't know. I have to look at it.
UKIH. Am I saying that right?
Sure. Ukiah? I've never heard of there.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know every city in California. I only lived on the Central Coast, bitch.
Whatever. The mythical place.
It's real.
It says so on my wine bottle, so it must be real.
It is.
That's how I know.
It says so in my birth certificate. Just kidding.
Central Coast Hospital on a boat.
Central Coast. Just the Central Coast. Just where you were.
So he moves them to California, essentially. I'm just going to say California. Jones.
And he told, because of the nuclear.
Yes. Because, again, this is
Correct.
like really, like he's really starting to kind of pave some fucking shitty groundwork here. So, and then Jones also.
He's grooming.
The
crowd.
Because now he has them like they're eating out of the palm of his hand. I'm sorry, I've said that. Whatever word, like that phrase, like 6 times already. So Jones declares.
You have?
I don't know why.
It's the first time I heard it today.
You're not listening to me. Jones declares the Bible is false, which when you start down that road, I feel like that should be like, we gotta go. So, and he is God's true prophet and everything else.
Yeah, those two things together don't, like, the Bible's false, I'm God's prophet. Like,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's
Here we go.
Yes, and I'll tell you why a lot of people didn't leave though. So, during the following years, he also starts these Greyhound bus tours, like, all around the country. So he's, like, traveling from church to church, like, just all over. And he's saying it's because he's spreading his, we're spreading our word, and people believe that to a point. But now looking back, a lot of ex-members believe, like, it was probably more to find and gather more followers to go back to California. And so the congregation went from 80 members to roughly somewhere in the ballpark from 3,000 to 5,000 over the next 5 years. So that's how many he, like, because people said, like, that he would, like, be in, I don't know, Kansas City or something like that. And they would go and listen to his sermon. And then he would be on the bus the next day bound for California. So he was just picking him up and taking him back to California. So there were already signs, however, of a sinister undercurrent, like, to People's Temple. Followers were expected to devote themselves completely to the church's utopian project. And this is why a lot of them didn't leave, because they were turning over all of their assets to him, like their bank account information, every penny that they earned at their job, their mortgages.
It makes me so sad that, like,
Yeah.
that's not a fucking
Right.
red flag to someone.
Right. So their mortgages, their deeds.
I mean, my student loans are like that, but it's fine.
Right, but
Just
like, and like the deeds to their homes, they were giving it to Jones, and so that's when all of this kind of started. Where, like, he was like, okay, well, now I can kind of plant these seeds, and then they're like, what the fuck are we gonna do? Well, all we can do is just kind of going like, yeah, yeah, and just like, is anybody else believing this? Maybe not, but let's just hope for the best. So everyone was just hoping for the best, but what else were they gonna do? Or they were poor and they had nowhere else to go. So that's, again, it becomes like this slippery little fucking slope, and it's just, anyway. It fascinates me. It's just horrible.
God, people are sick.
And even preying on people that were like, they weren't stupid, they weren't poor, they weren't whatever. They just believed in this cause, and then it just becomes where you're backed in the corner, and then you're just like, I feel trapped. And maybe they were embarrassed at the time that they didn't know how to ask for help. You never know. But yeah. Anyway, so they would turn all that over in exchange for claims of complete care, especially like with the elderly. So like Jones was like saying like, oh no, we have like these amazing houses. Like, I don't have anything in my home. I don't have new furniture. He would say these in his sermons. Like you can listen to this actual words coming out of his mouth. I don't have a nice house, but like these senior citizen homes, like, oh, they're decadent, they're nice, and everything else. So again, just fucking bait and switch. The ultimate bait and switch from a salesman.
So he would tell people like that's where they're going to?
That's where they're going. That's what they're working for. Like, this is for a great noble cause because we're going to take care of the elderly where the government hasn't and everything else. And I don't have nice things. I'm putting it all towards this. It's all bullshit. It was all complete fucking bullshit.
And back then it was like there was nothing established like that, but like it was probably a lot easier to believe.
1,000%. We don't have access to 24-hour news, and we didn't have social media. So you were only sometimes if you're in an environment where you're spoon-fed that bullshit 24 hours a day, what are you going to believe? I mean, so I think it was a lot easier back then to kind of get away with that. Mm-hmm. Hopefully. But I'm not going to be ignorant to think like that doesn't happen today.
Oh, it definitely it happens all the time.
It fucking happens all the time.
You know that.
Yeah. So, and also not only were they turning it over, they were like working long hours on unpaid labor for the church and often broke contact with their families. So again, another big red flag. If they don't believe in what you're doing, you can't talk to them anymore. It's kind of like the Scientology thing. It's exactly like that, which that's a giant cult as well. But come after me. What are you going to do? I have no money, which is what you're after anyway.
Perfect.
They were expected to raise their children within the commune as well. So everything was like kind of intricated. And so they just, again, had no way out.
See, I want to have a commune someday, just so that,
But not like a
cult.
not like a culty one. And they also were told, like, they were also kind of like really, especially with the kids, I think they really groomed them. They would even like, they would be afraid. They really couldn't talk amongst themselves because if they got told on, they would get in trouble. And I'll tell you what would happen when they would get in trouble. So they would be working so much they became sleep deprived, which is another red flag in how you kind of...
And they were just working towards his goals.
Working toward his goals, and that's, again, how you keep somebody kind of almost in a way mind control, because we all know what sleep deprivation does. Throwback to episode, I can't remember what it was
29, bitch!
Yeah, something like that.
Something.
But it's... we know what it does to the mind. It makes you susceptible. It makes you kind of like, okay, yeah, going along, and you're able, like, people are able to be influenced when they don't have sleep on board because their mind's not working correctly. So it's a mind control trick.
And it's like survival too.
Yeah.
Like if they
but
had
it's
nothing
how
else.
you're able to have control over people because they're not running on all cylinders. So he would do that. He would make them work those hours so he can keep them in control of himself or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Is that why we Americans have to work fucking 90 hours a week?
It's true. It's just so the McDonald's knows what he's doing. But this son of a bitch knew what he was fucking doing. Yeah. So, and that's how he was also keeping them he would keep them like not talking to each other. Because the more you don't talk to each other, the more you're not going like,
wait a minute.
Do you think that there's some? Is this weird? So he would make. And if you were caught like talk negatively about him or whatever, you were told on, and then other things. What happened, which is what would happen next. So, the public beatings. So, people were spanked, slapped, and beaten in front of, like, a congregation. So, when they would come together, they would... That's like, bye-bye, motherfucker. You're fucking beating people in front of me, and you're all about peace? Like, no, you're not. Right. So, Jones would force people to come up to the front of the congregation and have to divulge who they slept with, and... any other behavior Jones, and I'll let you know why that's important here in a minute, would disapprove of. And first of all, some docs actually have the audio recording. I haven't listened to all of it, but like you can actually hear his laugh, and it's like this. It's like something out of a nightmare. It's like a clown laugh. Oh, it's so fucking. It's like it gives me chills just thinking about it. But yeah, he would bring them up, and he would, he would say, like, what should we do with them? Should we give them a good whatever? And then you can actually sometimes hear kids get on the speaker and say, like, I want to hang her by her titty. Like, it's fucking weird and fucking terrifying. And you can hear him laughing like that. It's bad. And then there was another time where one of the documentaries, an ex-member, or she might have survived the massacre, but she talks about how this one woman came up because I guess she was trying to like flirt with Jones or something like that, and they were like, well, what makes you think you have something that he wants? And another person called out like, I think you should strip down and show him what you got. And Jones like kind of looked down from his signature glasses that he wore all the time, like nodding approval, like, yeah, she should do that. And she stripped down till she was complete butt ass naked, and the people around her were talking about how like her butt looked and her like every part of her body looked. And the woman on the interview said like you could see every part of her body just blush because she was so, and that's the kind of shit that would happen on a regular basis.
And that was like,
and everybody,
it's so
and
sad that's not like,
and again, like
how no one revolt, like,
no. And there was another guy on there said like, there was a moment where you're watching this happen and go, this is wrong. And he's like, but I didn't do a damn thing about it. And it's because, again, he had everyone's finances. Whatever reason, you go with that mob mentality. And if you're kept not talking to anybody, I assume it's just like, what am I going to do? Or whatever it is. But something was keeping them not leaving. And so anyway, so that was all happening. Also, he claimed he was the only heterosexual in the land. Not kidding. In the entire world, he was the only heterosexual, and the men were all gay and the women were all lesbians, and he was the only heterosexual in the world.
What?
why? And actually he forbid his members to have outside relations with anybody like outside of their spouse, which whatever. But he was, obviously that goes without saying if that's not really, people are not actively doing that or looking for that, but it's only because he was doing it. He was having multiple affairs with women around, like outside of his marriage. But he's like, no, you can't do that, and it's only for it's only
for me.
It's only for me. So
because what? That's weird.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he was like saying that he was the only hetero. Oh, look at Buddha, she came out for you.
Buddha.
She usually doesn't come out.
Oh my God, Buddha.
It's a rare sighting.
She knows I need her.
It's true, she does.
Buddha, you're so pretty.
She is a big ol' owl kitty.
She is a giant black fluffy cat.
She's a big fucking bitch. She's a big bitch.
She literally never comes out for me, guys, ever. Buddha. No. She has been the last couple times, but then she'll run under the bed.
She doesn't usually do
which
this.
she did. She was out. She ran under the bed.
She doesn't
and
usually
she
come
just
back out.
came out.
Oh,
there she
goes.
No,
it's okay. No. She's okay.
She loves me.
She does love you. Look, see?
She loves you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys, I'm just so excited. Oh, there she goes.
Here she goes.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, anyway, sorry guys. So, he also was sleeping around with men as well. Even though he was claiming he was the only heterosexual in the land. There was like, and by sleeping around, he was...
What a weird man!
He was a very weird man. So he was like, and in all honesty, he was probably like not really sleeping. He was probably ordering these men to sleep with him. So raping these poor gentlemen in the congregation. But don't worry, again, he was an asshole heterosexual as well. He was sleeping around, like I said, with a number of women, claiming he was doing it as a gift to these poor women that he was ultimately raping. There was a woman in the documentary that said, like, when in those Greyhound buses, he brought her back, and because he goes like, do you know what you do to me? And she just like, she didn't know what to do, and she just laid there as he was having sex, raping her. Let me not even put it lightly. And he's like, I'm doing this for you, Debbie. I'm doing this for you. It's a sick fuck. So yeah, it's disgusting. Sick. So that's all happening. So again, we just see this spiraling, and again, nobody talks about it. Nobody talks to each other. So everyone stays. It was around the early 1970s. Is like when he did the first trial run of the punch. He gathered everyone, gave them all some punch, and said...
And this is when they all lived...
This was still in California. It might have been at San Francisco at this point, because he had another congregation in San Francisco. So, look, she's going to make her rounds. She's so soft.
Oh, Buddha.
Good girl. Thank you, boo-boo. She must know that you needed it.
She did.
So, he gave everyone some punch, and they all drank it, and then he said, you just drank poison. And some people freaked out. But other people just stood there like, what? I mean, okay. But the fact that he still had followers after that is beyond me. I don't understand that. And they're not even in Guyana yet. So I don't understand that. I really don't. Unless again, they really felt like they had nowhere else to go. Or
people can have really low self-esteem and low self-worth and shit and be like, this is my only hope for my life, and it's really sad.
Some of the interviewees say like they thought like maybe it was just a test of faith, and that's all it really was. And like, how can you say that? Like, holy shit. Fuck.
Life is fucking hard, and sometimes you just
and that's
gotta
true.
cope the
and
way
if you're
you want,
if you're not sleeping right and everything else, like your brain does funny shit. Like whatever, I could give two fucks.
You drink poison,
right? They're like, fuck it. Like at least I'll get some goddamn sleep. Is probably what they were thinking.
Like hypnotize them or some weird shit.
No, I bet you they just they probably just thought like I can sleep now. That'll be great. Jesus Christ.
Thank God for this poison.
I know. God, these poor people.
Thank you, Lord Jones, for giving me this sleep medication.
Yeah, my only thought is like they probably just felt trapped. So as the years go by, the paranoia grows, And it's again centered around the government was going to kill them, and especially him. Like he wanted to have like people that were going to jump in front of him and shit like that, and like fucking weird shit. He also kind of really starts. He's kind of always had, is what his son kind of talks about, a prescription drug problem, but it's really starting to increase at this point. So, in 1973, Jones declares, "For some unexplained reasons, I happen to be selected to be God." Whatever. So and then after 8 members defect, because some of them were like, okay, I gotta go. Like, this has gotten fucking weird. I can't, like,
At least some people got
you're
out.
spanking people with paddles and declaring yourself Jesus, and I can't do this anymore. So
I don't think that's what Jesus did.
no, he definitely didn't get you down the paddy wagon, that's for sure. So I don't. So Jones, so after just 8 people defect, I mean that's a big failure to him. So that's when he starts talking about revolutionary suicide. That was when the first time he ever talks about it.
I gotta kill them all before they leave me.
Sure. And do you know? Have you ever heard heard revolutionary suicide associated with his name?
No, I've never heard that term.
Okay, so you'll hear about that later on.
Also, this just a fun little side note. This highball
TM.
fucking blackberry lime smells like Trix.
Yeah, and again, that's why I was like, this
Cereal.
isn't bad taste, but it's like punch.
Oh, got
Ugh,
it.
bad taste, bad form.
You did say it tasted like punch.
And I was
get
like,
it
ugh,
now.
I feel bad now. Yeah. So for
Trix
years,
punch.
Trix punch.
Are you poisoning me, Shay?
It's a trick.
Jesus Christ.
Heyo.
Is that why Buddha's out? Because
It's a trick. She's like smelling death on you. She's my death cat. It's fine. So more years pass after he attempts like the trial run, if you will. And he buys 3,800 acres of land in Guyana, and that's when he begins to build Jonestown. So, and he's flying kind of back and forth, showing everybody, like, again, it's a propaganda video bullshit, like, oh yeah, I got like these plantains.
Firefest?
They're pretty much. It's like, oh god, it's so much worse though. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a lot worse than Firefest.
Jesus, yeah, people didn't die at Fire Festival. Jesus.
I won't say what it's about.
Jesus Christ.
I'm joking. What?
So he's like going down there and he's like, oh yeah. Oh, by the way, I didn't write this in my notes, but I was like, is that real? I guess they had a monkey, a chimpanzee, which is shocking because they used to sell monkeys, named Mr. Muggs. That was
his prized possession.
Yeah. And he would hang out in the congregation. He would hang out and like people would pet him, and he would like get defensive of Jones if anyone got too close. I was like, what the fuck Wizard of Oz Dr. Doolittle shit is this? I don't even know. Anyway, so
Dr. Doolittle was kind.
he was kind. Anyway, sorry, that was a side rail.
Side rail.
That wasn't right. Not a side rail.
That was a guardrail. We'll get back to the
that
main
was a
show.
guardrail. Oh God! Thank God it's there. I would have fallen right off that cliff of word vomit.
This is punch, isn't it?
It is. You get really foamy at the mouth. I'm sorry. Horrible. Jesus Christ. Okay. So again, he's going back and forth. Everybody wanted to go because they thought like this was going to be the promised land, that they get to go and build their utopia and no one's going to bother them. And again, he's feeding them like, you know, we're doing this because the government's going to eventually get us. We have to find a place to be able to like just live out our lives in peace, and like this kind of, it's a communism kind of base mentality is what he's got going on. So in 1977,
It just got so much more extreme from the beginning. So it's just like really sad that people can like still will progress with someone even if
yeah,
they start talking like
yeah,
crazy fucking shit.
but I will say though, like
I don't know, it's
the
just sad.
fact that, you know, at least, I mean, if the numbers really were around 5,000, they dwindled down because only like it wasn't that many by the time the congregation disbanded. So at least some people were figuring it out,
That's good.
which is good. But, you know, obviously there was still a lot of people that did not, which was super sad. So on 1977, on August 1st, Jones leaves for Guyana after a news story describing him as a cruel, paranoid criminal. And these are from like testimonies from ex-members. surface.
Yeah, no wonder he fucking went to Guyana. Like, where is that? South America,
It's
right?
South America, yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So
let's just escape every ridicule that you could ever hear about me.
Right,
we
so
gotta go.
Right, so it's crazy. So it's like he got crazier. People were starting to like defect.
And he had everyone's money, so he could do whatever the fuck he wanted.
So the one that were the ones that felt like they were able to just start again, and I get people that were like, I'm not telling them that they're braver than the ones that stayed. They just felt like they could start again, and others might not have felt like they could, like they didn't have the fucking willpower to fucking do it, and I get that. So the ones, and they were like, I got some crazy stories. I think it started with one story, and then people came out of the woodwork going, you think that you had a bad time at that church? I'm going to tell you about my
all
shit
these
that happened at church.
allegation things.
So Jones was listening on the radio, and apparently he was like with some of his followers, and he was like mouthing to them as the story was breaking, going, we're leaving tonight. So he got his fucking ass on a plane and scooted out of town real fucking quick. And then after when all that was happening, Tim and Grace Stone, I believe her name is, were married coupled and followers of Jim Jones during the temple's early years in California. Tim was an attorney for the temple, and Grace was a member of Jones' inner circle. And in 1972, Grace gave birth to a boy named John Victor Stone, and Jones claimed to be the boy's father. Complicating matters about the paternity, Tim signed an affidavit confirming Jones as John's father. It's another form of mind control, and apparently he was not the only dad to do this. Jones had multiple fathers do this, and even though they knew like that's not true, like this is my son, but he would like, nope, you're gonna sign all your kids to me. It's another form of mind control, and I think it was another form of trying to get them not to leave. It was another way to trap them, which is insane
that they would do that.
Yeah. Even then I'd be like, you can go fuck yourself, and I'm leaving my kid.
Fucking child.
Yeah. I don't understand like why you would even sign it. If you have somebody that's doing that, like it doesn't matter what the fuck they're selling. Get the fuck out of there. So, when Grace defected from the church in 1976, she left her son with Jones, fearing that her life and John's were in danger. So she claims that it was because she was doing it for the sake of her son, that and they all felt like he was super powerful, that he had hitmen all over the place. So she felt like that Jones wouldn't hurt her boy. So she's like, I'm going to leave him because right now, and I'm going to eventually get him back, but I have to get out of here, and I have to just protect him. And that's what she thought was in the best interest of the kid. So together, she and Tim, who left the church a year later, sought to get John back, the son, through the U.S. courts. By that time, John was already in Guyana, and Jones adamantly refused to hand him over, despite court orders that he must do so. The dispute over John's paternity symbolized the bitter conflict between the temple and its opponents. If the Stones prevailed in getting John back, it would pretty much it would signal the loss of Jones's far-reaching power over his people, and it would kind of open the floodgates, so to speak, in Jones' fucking sick-ass mind for other relatives to come and retrieve their trapped loved ones, essentially. So
we can't have that.
He's like, we cannot have that. So he's sick. So this story and many others perked up the ears because there was multiple people coming out of the woodwork from this story of the Stones, that they're like, yeah, no, I feel like my son or my daughter or my aunt or my whatever it was are trapped in it, and Jones won't let them leave. So this perked up the ears of Congressman Leo Ryan, and it comes into play in a little bit. So during all this, Jones begins holding what he calls white night meetings, which is what sounds like something out of Ku Klux Klan bullshit. So
that's another red flag.
It's a big red flag. Telling people they are surrounded by unnamed enemies, and the height of his paranoia is mounting. He kept a loudspeaker on, and this is like when most of the followers are with him now in Guyana, the ones that have are super active and everything else. So there's roughly a little over 900 people there. So
that's a lot.
It's a lot, but when you think about it, like if the congregation was originally 5,000, you just at least know in the back of your head, like, okay,
at least
people were figuring it out, and they were getting the fuck out. And these 900 were like the ones that were like they really wanted to make it work. And it wasn't so much about Jones.
sad.
It was like they believed in each other. And that's what he initially was teaching.
That is so
It's super,
sad.
super sad. Sorry to be a downer.
It's fine. It's just fucked up.
So he kept a loudspeaker on 24 hours a day of just his fucking voice spewing whatever propaganda came out of his goddamn mind. He's also having them talk about one minute. Oh, he also was having them like talk about like what their group, like their course of action would be if like the outsiders invaded them, quote unquote. So that's when they're like, okay, well,
You all need to protect me and die for me,
right?
and then I'll be the last to die.
Right. So during this time, they talked about like obviously the suicide. And there was another one, do we fight back? And the other one was this plan to go to Russia because he claimed he has connections in Russia because it was like a communist based community. Like, oh, we'll be safe there. We can go to Russia. And he was telling people this. So I think in a lot of people's minds, they're like, well, we're not going to really commit suicide. We'll just go to Russia. That's way better.
We're just going to go to Russia,
We're just going to go
right?
to Russia, right? So
Through this Kool-Aid? Is this the ticket?
Yeah, despite all of that, most people were happy in Jonestown because I say most loosely. Because they built this community from the ground up and truly believe what they built. They actually were happier when Jones would stay in his little hut because they actually described it as like, it was great because we were all like this great community working together. We grew our own food and we had childcare. We had a school. We had a little kind of clinic and we had all of these things, and it was great when Jones wasn't around because it was like everyone got really quiet and just whatever. And you know, when he wasn't around, we were singing, we were laughing, we were working really hard together and everything else.
So red flag.
So again,
you don't like your leader.
Fucking flag. Yeah. So when people would want to go back to the States, however, other claim it was like a prison camp. So it's all kind of perception. Because obviously if you're building like something like a community from like ground up, I mean, you're having to build everything. So other people are like, this is bullshit. Like,
yeah,
Jesus Christ. So when people would want to go back to the States, he would verbally humiliate them in these white night meetings, just like he was doing in the churches, until they eventually just back down. And then they say they just don't want to leave. So you actually can hear one of these in one of the documentaries, just like, he's like, I want to go home. And he's like, were you the one that said you want to go home before Christmas? And he's like, yeah, I want to see my blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you won't go home until I say you go home. And the only way that you're going home, like it's the only way it's going to be, it's not going to be on that flight. It's going to be in a fucking box essentially. And he's like, do you want to go home? And he's like, no. And then he just shuts up. So, and you can hear in his voice, it's an elderly man. So it's just like this and you can hear him getting just more crazed, not as crisp as he
recorded all his shit.
That's why I think this fascinates me so much, because you can actually hear the height of what he was saying to like where the slow trickled down, where it's just like this angry, he's pulling and grasping at straws, but he still has a hold on some of them, which is insane to me. So, also it should be noted, he was getting injected daily in Guyana with a drug cocktail consisting of Valium, Quaaludes, stimulants, and barbiturates. When his son or anybody asked, he just said it was a B12 shot. So, there's that.
What?
Yeah. I told you the story's crazy.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, so, as you can imagine, he's slurring his words. Again, his speeches aren't as crisp. And people are kind of hearing that. Yeah, he's falling everywhere.
He can't walk.
Yeah, he's super all fucked up and bloated and whatever, but like he's always wearing glasses now and he's just like slurring his words. It's bad. So cut to November 14th of 1978. Congressman Leo Ryan travels to Jonestown. That's a totally different town. They're like, don't affiliate with them with us. Jonestown on the fact-finding mission over concerns of the family members, of just fellow family members, and in part to investigate the child custody dispute with the Stones. So he gets there and everyone is smiling and laughing, and it's just a grand old time. And they put on this like fucking elaborate show. Like, this is great. Like, look at these bananas like in this tree, and we're just like hanging out eating bananas, and it's fine. And look at we're just one happy family, and it's great and it's wonderful. So, but it wasn't until, and he was convinced, like, they're like, okay, I mean, like, and people are claiming that if they want to leave, they can leave. And in other parts of the documentary, there's actually videos of, like, people are going, like, yeah, people are telling me, like, I don't, like, asking me if I want to leave, and I don't really want to leave, but you can tell that they're lying because they won't look at the camera and they're just looking down, and they keep repeating it, like, really, really fucking fast, and, like, yeah, if I want to go, but I don't want to really gonna go, but if I did want to go, I would really go, but, like, I don't really want to go, and I don't really want to go back,
but
yeah,
I could, I would, but I don't.
And the people that are singing the songs, like, it's like one's like, we're a happy family, and it's like, oh, it's so painful, oh, it's so gross.
We're a happy family.
Yeah, you can. It's like, we're a happy family. Yes, we are, or something like that.
I love
it's
you.
So fucking creepy, dude. Oh, it makes me want to vomit in my mouth. So,
gross.
So it wasn't until he was about to leave is when shit, like, fucking goes down. People passed notes to the congressman, and crew, like, his whole crew, because he had, like, a film crew there as well, stating that they want to leave. And then, like, the fucking cat's out of the bag, all hell breaks loose. More people want to go. And during all the commotion, a kid tells on, like, somebody that, like, passes a note, and he's like, you passed a note,
fucking
you passed a note.
Children.
Right? You passed a note, because they don't know anybody, they're brainwashed. You passed a note. And
yeah, because kids love to tell on people, you know?
Right. And he thought he was doing the right thing. So during all the commotion, someone, like, comes up behind Ryan and, like, tries to slit his throat. And he's okay, though, but, like, he's bleeding, and you can see it on the camera that he's bleeding. So he's fine, but he's like, we gotta get the fuck out of Dodge. Let's go. So on November 18th, that's the same day, like, he almost got stabbed to death, he leaves with 16 members in tow. So while preparing to leave from an airstrip, it's like this little dirt airstrip, and it says, like, Guyana Airways, and it's like this janky little prop plane, but it's like 1978, so it's probably not very janky back then. Mm-hmm. A truck carrying armed temple guards opens fire. Ryan and three other journalists and a temple member are killed, and that's another creepy thing, because the cameraman was rolling. You don't see anybody die, but you see people come up on, like, the little tractor, and they're shooting at people. And there was one of, like, one of the reporters, actually, I think it might have paralyzed her. She played dead, thank God, but she said, like, she was watching before they came up to her, them just, like, going point blank and just shooting people.
Oh.
It was horrible,
God.
like, just horrible. And they actually shot her point blank, and she fucking survived, which is insane to me. But I think it left her paralyzed, unfortunately. So following the attack, Jones calls his congregation together, telling them that they are being forced to commit revolutionary suicide by the outside world. So he's claiming, like, oh, they shot the senator, or somebody shot the senator. I don't know who it was. Oops, sorry. I don't know who it was, but somebody shot him, and we have to commit revolutionary suicide because they're gonna come in. They're gonna come in here, and they're gonna kill our children. They're gonna torture our seniors. So we have, like, he planned it all. So, or at least, kind of, that's what I assumed.
Oh,
but
God.
Yeah. So,
what a freak.
Yeah. So one woman actually detested, about committing suicide, and she asked about Russia. So she's calling him on, like, these things that he's talked about, like, is it too late for Russia? And he's like, yeah. It's fucking,
yeah.
It's like he kind of forgot, like, Russia. Late. Oh, yeah, Russia. Yeah, that's totally legit. Yeah, we're not doing that, Dolores, because you can go fuck yourself. So, yeah, no. So
this is not funny at all. No, but
it's not funny. But
Dolores,
it's just like,
go sip your soup.
Exactly. Go sip the Kool-Aid.
Go sip my Kool-Aid I made you.
Yeah. So he. Yeah, so she was, like, suppressed down, and, like, even, like, the fucking members were like, the only reason why you're standing here today is because of he put you here and everything else. And she's like, she just finally, again, it's like the other guy that was told, like, you can't go home unless you're in a box, and do you want to go home? And she just finally just shuts up. So so sad. The temple members line up and drink the grape Flavorade. Wasn't even Kool-Aid. Couldn't even purchase the fucking name brand.
It was
It
Literally
was
Flavor Aid?
It was the brand.
And then they
it was
put
the
some-
it was the off brand of Kool-Aid. Flavor Aid, generic.
Couldn't even spend the big bucks on Kool-Aid.
We're only gonna do the 10
because
cents
Kool-Aid
packs.
is better than that.
Woo. So
Oh my.
it was mixed with potassium cyanide and sedatives. So mothers fed the poison to their children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Those
Just feed your children.
yeah, it's horrible. So those who refused were injected with it or forced to drink it at gunpoint. So it was murder. It wasn't. Some of them did commit suicide, but a lot of
them were
them were murdered.
forced?
Yeah, a lot of them were forced by gunpoint, or they were just like somebody would just come up and go Shh, and just inject them. So a lot of them were murdered. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. Did you not know that?
no.
Yeah.
I just thought they all willingly took it like the Haley
a
Bob
lot of
Comet
them.
people.
Oh no, a lot of them were forced. So 2 people died from gunshot, and that was Annie Moore, who was Jim Jones's nurse, and Jones himself. So he couldn't even take
he
the poison.
shot himself.
They don't know.
Or
They don't
someone
know.
shot
They
him.
think that it was probably Annie Moore that killed him, the nurse, and then she shot herself. They don't think that he did it himself because he's too much of a fucking coward.
Narcissist.
Yeah.
Fucking.
He couldn't even like fucking take the punch. He had to like he probably was like watching it all die like I don't want to die like that. So in the end,
Yeah, was his plan to like survive them all? Like,
no, I think he was watching it all happen, but he didn't want to die like that, so he probably had her shoot him. It's because he's a fucking narcissist and he's a piece of shit. So in the end, 913 people died. 276 of them were children.
oh
And here's
my God.
the grossest part. So the creepy part of all of this, he audio recorded the whole thing. It's pretty awful to listen to just clips of because they will show them or you can listen to them in the documentary. It gives you the chills. You listen to
Why did he record everything?
because he's a narcissist, and I don't know, because he was fucking crazy. But he would just sit like with his little tape recorder, and he was audio recording everything. So it's commonly known as the death tape, and it's just him. It's just him like kind of like, oh no, they shot the senator. You can hear him talk about that. You can hear somebody come up and not hear what he says, but you can hear what Jim. Oh, he shot the senator. Oh, we gotta commit a revolution. We didn't die in anguish or whatever. Like, don't die in anguish and don't die in agony. Lay down with your child and everything else. And we didn't commit suicide. We committed an act of revolutionary suicide. And he's saying this, and you're listening.
But it's revolutionary, so it's different.
Right, but you're listening to kids screaming in the background, screaming, and people crying. And as the tape goes on, the sounds of kids crying is just getting louder and louder, and then it just stops. And then you hear him say like, okay, now line up so the adults can begin. So they say like, he's like, we got to get the medicine, we got to move because they're gonna come for it. Like he is fucking, and I just don't understand why it was, but it gives me the chills. Ugh. So anyway, and then you actually hear a woman's voice on there that's telling, and I'll tell you why that's important here. I'm almost done. Here in a minute, but like she says like, it's just like, don't like, just keep the kids calm, and the older children are gonna keep the little kids calm. And it's just a little bitter tasting. That's why they're crying. It's just a little bitter tasting. You can hear her say that so many fucking times. It's disgusting. Anyway.
Yikes.
Yeah. So there are some people that did survive. There weren't many. At least there were, I think, like 80 something that survived because they were outside of Jonestown at the time.
That day.
And then because some people were like getting supplies, others were like actually his biological son was at a basketball game.
They were allowed to do that?
I guess so. But it was like a tournament within Guyana. So they were just, I don't think Jim Jones didn't plan to do that.
All right,
day.
we gotta go now.
Yeah.
So let's, I don't care who's not here. We're just doing this.
Right. So he was just doing it. And so those guys survived, and then
So his son's still alive?
his biological son's still alive, and then his adopted son, I don't know about his other kids, but his adopted son wasn't there either. I think he was away at university or something like that, so he wasn't there either. So
Well, at least he,
I know.
I don't know, not at least anything.
I know.
Never mind.
So
That's
fucked.
Are they in the interview? Are they like interviewed?
Yeah, so those two guys are interviewed. They do interviews.
His sons?
Sons interviewed. They think that he's a piece of shit. So,
Well, they're not. Thing he's dead.
Yeah, good thing he's dead. So,
oh, fuck.
Yeah. So he she's so cute. So the ones that were in Jonestown that survived were Stanley Clayton, Odell Rhodes, Glover, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, Grover Cleveland Davis, 3 men who actually independently from each other decided not to participate in the deaths. And I don't know how they survived, but they must have faked their deaths and just laid down and not.
Oh, so they were like there.
They were there, but they just. I don't know. They didn't. I couldn't find any information like how.
I drank it.
Yeah, like
throw it over your left shoulder.
Look away, and then yeah. So, and I'm probably pronouncing this one's name wrong, but Haesthis Thrash. I'm not quite sure. I'm so again sorry if I'm pronouncing that so badly. She slept through the deaths. She was an elderly woman. And she didn't hear the horn, and she just didn't wake up. I'm not quite sure, but she got out. She woke up, and everyone was dead. And she's like, if I had gone, I would have died too, probably.
Holy shit.
And a few others were somehow able to escape into the jungle. Like, they were able to get away from the armed guards and, like, escape. There was one woman that, like, she just...
There were armed guards?
Yeah, she, like, fucking had enough, and she, like, slapped... Like, she put her, like, little 3-year-old son on her back, and she just walked through, like, the fucking woods. Jones often, like, said, like, oh, there's jaguars, and I'm sure there were, and, like, snakes, and you'll be eaten alive if you, like, leave the jungle. So people didn't leave. And so she was like, fuck this. I will go... I will go punch a goddamn snake in the face before I stay one more second here. And thank God she did, because she probably would have died that day. So she had no idea it was going to happen. She just decided that day she was going to get up and leave. And actually another group of like 11 people went on a picnic, quote unquote, I'm air quoting, and they didn't know either.
An orgy.
They had no idea that, no, they had no idea. They were hatching an escape plan. They had no idea that was going to happen. And they left on that morning and they took off and they survived too.
Gotta follow those intuitions sometimes.
God.
Most of the time.
So when authorities finally did come to kind of, when they found out what had happened and everything else, because obviously it got out because people were shot on the airstrip, and then they went to Jonestown. And they flew in by helicopter. And at first they reported like it looked like a giant quilt. They said it looked like a giant quilt, and it wasn't until they got down that they realized they were bodies, because they were like all these bright colored, and because they were all lined like they had pretty much drank the punch and gone and like just lied down together, and they had their arms all over each other. And that first the body count was really low, and because they were only counting the people like what they could see, and then when they started peeling, like they started like to pull people like off, piles of bodies were underneath. They were just falling on top of each other. I mean, it's just horrible. It's just sometimes humans are just the fucking worst. So, a little over half of the bodies were claimed, and the rest of the 400 or some odd number were taken back to California, were buried, I believe, in Evergreen. And, yeah. Ugh. So, through all of this, and especially toward the end, survivors and ex-members point the finger, actually, of blame, not just on Jones, at 4 women within Jones's inner circle. His wife, Caroline Layton, Maria... Oh, I'm gonna butcher that. We're just gonna call her Maria. Okay. And Annie Moore. Because the fact that he was getting shot up every day, he was practically useless. There'd be no way that he could formulate like the right recipe to make the cyanide. He could never like get a hold of enough supplies to be able to get that concoction together. He had to have people that did it for him. Ew. So, and it was these women, and these women were probably all sleeping with him, let's be honest. Which I've also heard stories like toward the end, his wife was just completely defeated, and she was just broken, and she was just so sad, and she didn't want him sleeping around. She hated it. She believed in what he was initially preaching about in the early years. She did not believe in what was happening now. So they had to organize everything, including obviously everything for the revolutionary suicide plan to be carried out. So quite possibly, if it wasn't for these women, this massacre might not have even happened, because again, he did not have the wherewithal to do this because he was fucking sitting in his chair and slurring.
But they were just so brainwashed to
They were so brainwashed,
like,
and
his will.
And actually, it's called, the documentary is called The Women of Jonestown. I highly recommend it, and it talks all about that, where it was like, you know, you can point the finger at Jim Jones all you want, but like if it wasn't for these women, it wouldn't have probably happened because he was a fucking drug addict. He couldn't fucking get it. I mean, if he told him, like, everyone, like, drink the punch, well, how do you make it? Like, well, I can't make it. I need somebody else. I mean, like, if somebody was at least stood up to him or something like that. But the woman on the tape that said it's a little bitter tasting they believe it was Annie Moore, one of the women that was probably that stirred the concoction up. And they also unfortunately, animals, including the chimpanzee. They found Mr. Muggs's poor little body there too. So they killed everything, which was incredibly sad.
Yikes.
So that's the story of Jonestown. Yay, it's done. That's fair. Yeah. It's pretty fucked. So yeah. Again, highly recommend The Woman of Jonestown documentaries. Kind of insightful, just because again they talk about Jones's Inner Circle and how, you know, they were pretty intricate in his rise and his, you know, everything in Jonestown becoming shit. Because again, if they weren't there, he couldn't have carried it out. It would have fallen long before anything like that would have probably happened. I'm not going to say that it wouldn't have happened because that's a lot of blame to put on those 4 women because it was of this psycho's ideas.
Because they were brainwashed.
They were brainwashed too, but like, again,
but why did they feel the need? Like, they were helping him, like, drug himself. Like, it's just, like...
Yeah.
It's just fascinating to, like, what the fuck were these motherfuckers thinking?
They like, weren't.
How could you
they believed
think that way? Or
they believed in that cause, but it became... Again, like, if they said, like, this is stupid, there might not have...
They would have been...
They might not have, because, like, again, he wasn't... He couldn't even fucking say words right. So, it's just super sad.
That's weird.
Right?
It's a weird little twist, too.
It's true. This is going to be a long episode, you guys.
Holy shit. Should we roll?
Each one of our topics are 1 hour each.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's roll.
Do you want to roll?
Let's roll it. I'm excited. And hopefully this month we will.
We're going to start.
Of November. We will, because I think
we'll have at least.
I think our goal is 1 video a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good goal. That's a good goal to, like, then we can always aim higher. Set your bar low, everybody. That's my life hack.
Hell yeah. Yeah, pull up the topics.
I'm doing it. Look at me.
We don't know.
What
numbers are numbers.
Here we go. Here we go now.
Roll it.
1, nostalgia.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Here you go. What do you got?
Also, you have a new, like, computer on your desk today.
It's my old computer, because I got a new computer at the place. 1, we got a double hitter of pop culture.
Nostalgia pop culture?
I think it'll be a good episode.
That's going to be real good.
Oh, yeah. I think I have an idea.
Well.
Yeah. You ready to dig? Oh, wait, no, you got to shout out.
Hey, I didn't even tell you guys about everything I tell you every day.
Yeah, sorry.
Every day of your lives. Hey, we're 30ish. THURDYISH. That's our Instagram. Follow us, find us. I've been slacking on the Instagram page lately because I've been gone and dealing with some weird things, but that's fine. We're getting back into it.
Full force. Again, we're going to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and it's going to be a whole new podcast.
It is. So yeah, follow us, like our shit. If you like what you hear, like what you see, if you liked our episode, let us know what you liked about it, or
don't
send
be shy.
us suggestions if you want. We love that. Yeah, just keep the love flowing because we love you guys and we love doing this. So thanks for listening. And yeah, that's the show today.
Yeah, we won't give a long outro because you guys are like, you guys need to shut the fuck up. Yeah.
So, well, we love you and thank you. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye.